Do you remember the day where they said, okay, everything's going to be fine now? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Minds of Media. My name is Blake Panashevitz, and today's guest is one I have been really excited to have on my show for a while now. He comes to us originally from the UK, and is previously a professional Counter-Strike player turned host, commentator, and marketer, having worked at events such as the Berlin Major and the ESL Pro League Finals. Please let me introduce James Banks. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey man, it's been a long time coming, right? We've been trying to get this organized between events and traveling and me being not fully set up in Ukraine and stuff at the time. So yeah, it's good to finally be here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to have you on the show. It's going to be exciting. Just so everyone in chat knows, this is a live interview, so we will be taking questions towards the end of the show. I'm excited to have you on the show. We normally like to start off the show pretty easy, and with you, I think it's going to be a little bit hard because we're going to go into some deep shit, I think. I'm excited for it. But one of the things I want to ask you, my easier kind of question starting out is, do you wish you would have been born like 10 years later for like the competitive side of Counter-Strike?
Oh mate, I said it all the time on stream. Like, admittedly, CSGO, I love the game, I love what it has. But I'm such an old fart now, like I'm nearly 30, where it gets to the point of like, you watch me stream, I get mad tilted because I still play like a 1.6 play and all this jiggle peeking and stuff I don't think should exist in the game. It's just like not even really a skill-based thing. It should just come down to the raw tactics and aim and game sense. So little bits have been taken away from it. But I feel like if it was 10 years later, then I'd definitely earn a lot more money as a player. That would have been better. But I think I wouldn't be in the position I'm in now doing what I'm doing and kind of being there at the beginning part of it. So it's 50-50. In terms of player, yes, but everything else, not so much.
Okay. So you're originally from the UK, which is an interesting. Where'd you grow up from in the UK? I've heard that the UK has like 200 different dialects of your guys' accent.
There's many. Yeah, there's many. So I'm like a commoner Londoner, east side of London. That's like kind of where we started off. So I come from like kind of, you call it low income, council houses, stuff like that. My parents worked very hard to try and get us in the best position, best life as possible. But yeah, my dialect is very common. I ain't got any fancy lingo. I don't speak posh. Like you put me and Frankie next to each other, right? And she speaks like proper English, like good background, good life, probably well educated, most likely. I'm just guessing at this point on her, but like they have that way of talking that is less gutter as what mine may be. But
I've actually had her on the show. She is very well spoken. So
yeah,
she's very well spoken. So I've heard that where you're born in the UK kind of like signifies things. Like I feel like people, there's a lot of different like I guess the best word is like class structure, almost like a very classist society. So what was it like where you grew up comparative to like other areas? Like how would people look at you guys?
So like where I spent most of my life is Reading, which is just outside of London in the end of it all. And you'd call where I come from like the hood, I guess, but you compare it to hoods like I've seen American documentaries of Mexico and stuff like that. It's nothing in comparison. The things that happened like in my childhood when one time I was walking to school, there was a kid who was stabbed up on the floor, and then I didn't go to nursery that day, I remember. My best friend was shot dead for turning to be, so he was a black guy who wanted to become a Muslim so he could marry this girl. They had a relationship for a long time, and other Muslims basically shot him dead in the street because they didn't want a black Muslim. Some mad stuff that went on down like that. I had guns put in my face as a child as well when we were just outside playing football because I was just mixed up with the wrong people and things like that. So that's my kind of background, which is why I don't really fit into like the stereotype.
Yeah. So I want to hear about some of these stories if you're comfortable. First thing I want to ask you is you mentioned that your parents worked really hard to get you into a better lifestyle. What did your parents do for a living?
So my dad at first was driving vans for a company like delivering washing machines and stuff. And my mum took the amazing chance she had to be like telemarketing, but from home. So my mum, even though she comes from a council house background, as does my dad, she's very well spoken. She's self-educated in many things. She even diagnosed my diabetes and her own thyroid disease and stuff. She reads a lot. She's really smart. But she's like done that over time herself. And then with me, and like how she kind of looked after me, she was able to stay home, so she worked from home basically the whole time, which was a huge help. But my parents divorced when I was 9. I had a stepdad move in who's a Jamaican guy, second generation. His dad was one that moved over first to the UK, and he was a huge influence. So I was really lucky. Where a lot of friends I had like grew up with even no parents, or just like maybe their mom or just their dad, I had an option where I had my dad, my stepdad, and my mum. And my dad was like a pure grafter. Like he had no education, no background, but just work, 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 work. And no matter what he'd provide, like I've got 4 sisters from his first marriage. And all he's ever done his entire life is do his best for what he could do in any way possible to make that money and make sure that we had a better life. While my mom she's done everything from like bits of management and stuff, but like it was like of a recruitment agency, again, being very well spoken, able to talk to people well. And then she took a massive career hit by obviously having me and deciding that she would dedicate everything to me to give me more opportunities. And then my stepdad, being a black person in the UK going back all these years ago, had things where obviously mad levels of racism were definitely there, but his dad even named him a more white name, right? And that's not meant to be said in like any kind of racist term, but definitely if he was given, say, a traditional Jamaican name, you would have been maybe not hired for jobs and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty common if you send a resume in. Like I think there's even some old studies of this. If you were to send a blind resume in and you have a like more stereotypical like name, like you do get judged on that, like unconsciously a lot of times.
So they were really lucky that their dad had the foresight and named all his brothers and sisters that name. But he found himself even like pushing to the point where he's now managing a company called Unilever. He manages one of their whole offices in London.
Oh wow!
And Unilever is a global company, and he runs one of the best offices and the tightest ships in all of Europe. So he's beaten out all of the stereotypes, dealt with racism, even had bosses at other companies try to take him down simply because he was a successful black person. So he's like a huge inspiration in like the working way, much like my dad's a grafter. My stepdad was, again, educating himself as best as possible, didn't want to fall into stereotypes of what people thought black people were and stuff like that. And it's on my Instagram, you'll see stuff like this as well. But a lot of my friends, because of where I grew up, we're a whole mix of things. Like you were a minority if you were a white person in school in Reading or in like the certain parts of London and stuff like that. So you look at my friends group and it's generally like 2 white guys and then everyone else is a whole mix of things. So when people are very racist or have racist like attitude on things, that's not stuff that I even really dealt with, because I dealt with racism on the fact that people even used to call me the little N-word because my stepdad was black when I went to school. And obviously I'm as white as fucking day, you know, like it's really crazy when you see racism and you get racism given to you firsthand as someone who is not like that, purely because what they've learned from their parents and what they then put onto their parents obviously said about my family. Because what happened is when my parents split up, my stepdad was actually able to buy my dad out of the house my parents had. So I didn't have to move anywhere. I didn't have to change schools or anything. I managed to stay in a pretty good location. So they'd actually worked their way up to move us outside of the hood. And then we ended up in a position where it was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. But all these white people don't like my stepdad because he was literally the only black person in that area. There was no one else. And when I went to school, it was just me and 2 other black guys. And because of that, they were giving racist abuse towards me simply because I had a black stepdad. And that was the shit that like really sent me on a whole wild like negative spiral. But I got out of it in the end. But it kind of put me on a point of like I was fighting all the time. I was not learning. And then luckily I found Counter-Strike.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you is I kind of want to touch on your parents' divorce, only because I've had a lot of people on here, and the divorcing. I know my parents divorced when I was 6, and then they had another custody battle later on. And both times for me it was pretty rough. But some people have very amicable divorces. What was the divorce like for you? Because you said you were what,
like
9?
Really good. Yeah, I was 9. It was like I was blessed. Like I've seen and heard of these crazy stories, and that's one thing I got to say hats off to my parents for, is because like they really made sure everything was in my best interest throughout all of it. Obviously, it was actually my mom's decision to have the divorce. She just fell out of love with my dad. My dad wasn't happy with it. Obviously, didn't want that to happen. Tried to save it, but even now, right? I'm not in the UK, but my dad can go to my mum's house and have dinner with my mum and my stepdad. And from very early on, They made sure that they didn't go to court. They settled in terms of how money would work and how you'd kind of look after me. I saw my dad every other weekend. He had an amazing PC, so I used to go play all my official games at CS at his house as well. But I would generally see him every Tuesday and Thursday. He would take me to my taekwondo classes. I'd do things at the weekend with my stepdad and my mum. So literally, I have no complaints about any of it. Like, I was not hurt by any of that stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you
Yeah,
mentioned you
I'm
had a
very
lot of
lucky.
you mentioned you have a lot of siblings, right? You at least mentioned you have 4 sisters from
Yeah.
your stepdad. Do you have any other siblings?
Yeah, I've got one little brother who's not like biologically my brother, but
Yeah.
my best friend, his parents were also divorced and he lived really far away, like a 2 hour drive away. So because I was always at the house whenever they were there, I basically in I don't care what blood or DNA says, this guy is my little brother in the sense
Yeah.
that I've been around his life since day one. When he was at school, I used to pick him up from nursery and stuff and help out with his parents, like because he loved having his brother around, but obviously his brother was so far away that it was only every now and again. And because whenever his brother was around, I'd be there because we were best friends. I basically just took on the role of being like an adopted brother, and he's even done videos with me on my YouTube before. I always probably do stuff on Instagram and things with him, and he's now 18. So yeah, that's kind of my extended family as such, I guess. So 4 half sisters and this non-biological, but to me is a brother in every sense of what it should be.
You have a very interesting outlook on family that I know at least a lot of times doesn't seem to be as close. Like it seems like family is like one of the most. If I had to put like a priority list for James here, family is
Mhm.
going to be probably up there, if not one of the number one things that you probably have as a
Yeah.
priority. Has it always been like that? And what do you think helped make it kind of like that? Because I know a lot of people, at least in the United States, like my family. I'm not that close with most of my family.
Mm. So for me, family's always been important because my dad's one of 3, my stepdad's one of 7, and I think my mum's one of 8. And so we've got loads of cousins, loads of like um, huge family. Like if you have a family get together, it's like a seriously, you ain't doing that in a house, right? You're gonna have to go rent a hall somewhere or rent a huge restaurant out to have everyone sat at the table. And like my dad always instilled in me that like there is family must be looked after. And because I'm also the only boy by blood of my family, technically I'm in charge of the family. That's how we look at it as a family. So, like the man, it was always a pressure on me to have a son, which I did first time. Bingo, that worked. But like continue the name on because my uncle, who's my dad's brother, he didn't have a boy, and then my dad's other sibling is a female, so she can't continue on the name when she gets married. So there was a lot of pressure on me to be like, have a son, continue the name and kind of take the name forward and take the family forward, but also in even dealing with things like if my sisters have disagreements or whatever, it's up to me to sort things out, to step in. It's up to me to settle things and make sure stuff's working the right direction. But we've always been extremely family orientated in everything. And even if there's arguments or disagreements, it's like we've always been taught you just deal with it there and then. You don't walk away from the situation, come back into it. Like you fix problems or you ain't leaving until you kind of fixed it, that kind of thing. And I guess it comes from like back in the day when my dad was a kid in the council estates in London, because he directly grew up and spent all of his childhood in London, is we used to have open door policy, right? So before all the guns and the drugs and the madness, no one would lock their doors because everyone was friends. We were all on the poverty line. We all were just like trying to scrape by. I'm talking about like this is the kind of era of like the Cray twins when my dad was growing up because my dad's like just over 70 now, so he's fairly
Oh
older
wow.
than what most parents would be, considering I'm only 30. But the that side of London at the time was very poverty stricken, a lot of kind of gangster activity, but it was good gangsters compared to the crap we have now of these kids watching rap videos and stuff. These guys were people that would take money from people who definitely didn't deserve it, at least in our eyes, and who were so wealthy and achieved money through maybe politics and corruption and other stuff. And these guys would actually help out and give money back to people that
So it
were
was like
struggling, who were just
the old
family.
mafia movies where the mafia
Yeah, it was like that.
they would charge a fee for protections, but they would also still do their job. Like it was actually a transaction.
Mm.
Like yes, you have to pay for this, but you do get something. It's not completely
But
one
the
sided.
difference is you would never have to pay anything of like you were just a normal working class family, right?
Okay.
So we would just work like my dad and his family and stuff would just be working for normal businesses. And it was more that they would be making like their ideals. And there's a lot of videos and books on the Cray twins, but it's very true to how
Yeah.
they were. The ideal back then was that everyone should be able to have a better life. So if someone had a new kid or something, they'd maybe drop a basket of goods or something like that down. And it was, I guess, instilled in that very poverty-stricken London culture to be family-orientated. And then when you get higher up the class system, maybe not so much does that happen. Obviously, I've got no idea. I don't come from that background, but I'm well aware of where all of this comes from, at least for my life.
So one of the things you mentioned kind of earlier on is like this idea of passing your name on, and
Yeah.
that's a very old sentiment. I think that like when you think about that, you think of like older, like almost like kings and queens. Like that was the idea, is that you'd want your name passed through and
Yeah.
stuff like that. That's a very interesting concept. Why do you think you hang to that so much?
I just think it's like respect to my family. I know it's what my dad wanted. I even have like
Hmm.
my initials here tattooed on my chest, just a B done with a star in the
Yeah.
middle of it. If we had a family crest, obviously we've got no idea anymore. My dad does all the ancestry thing and looks back at everything. If we had a family crest, I'd have that tattooed on my body. I think there's nothing that beats family in that sense, and I think people forget that these days, and people are so quick to just like be out for
Yeah.
themselves. But end of the day, when the chips are down, your family are the ones that are there for you. Now, I've got friends who are like that, who I consider
Yeah.
actual family, like I was explaining to you, even with my non-biological brother. But I really think family is such an important thing in feeling good, in love, in understanding,
Yeah.
and kind of, you don't have to be on the same page, you don't have to agree with everything, right? But family will always be there for you, where everyone else can literally just bugger off and leave you screwed, leave you in a bad situation just because they're focusing on themselves or they're only out for themselves.
Yeah, I can see that, believe that. So growing up, you've already mentioned some like very traumatic things that happened to you. Was it always that traumatic kind of growing up in that area? Like when you were like
No.
6, was it that bad? Like when did it start to get bad and you start to notice it?
Okay, so it was bad the whole time, right? Those areas are just generally bad, but I was very lucky that my parents worked very hard and moved us out quick. But it didn't
Yeah,
stop like my friends being from there, and they were the people
yeah,
I wanted to spend time with. So that's more on me that I kept going
okay,
back to those areas. But it was the area I knew when I'm being excluded from these rich, normal, like they live the dream life people. They weren't my people. I didn't fit into that scenario, so I went back to where my friends were elsewhere. Like it wasn't comfortable for me, and that's probably why I've always kind of been an outsider in other ways, but I'm sure we'll get back onto that later. But I mean, in general, like I can't complain. Like schooling was good up
yeah,
until secondary school. So primary school, when until you were 11, everything was great. Like teachers loved me. I had fun. I was able to be myself. But it's then when you get to that kind of teenage angst years, like 11 upwards, and I started puberty very early, like 11 or so. And like I remember hormones and stuff. And obviously, I'm a big guy anyway, but I was always skinny then, not so much in the gym. Um, and it was just the amount of abuse I got. I remember being followed home from school once and being bricked over the back of the head, punched up, bikes thrown on me and stuff, simply because my stepdad's black. And when I went to the school, they were obviously there was even one time. So I'll give you this. This will be an eye-opening story. There's one time at school where I lost the plot so much that like I walked home just in the middle of the day, like was still supposed to be in school, went to my house, got a knife, but without my mum seeing, walked with the knife in my hand the whole way because I was so fuming. And I was just going to stab this kid because he was calling my stepdad this and that, and like just all the most racist words going. And if it wasn't for a certain teacher who stopped me from stabbing this kid would be dead and I'd probably be in jail or serving time or doing whatever would have gone into it. But it was because I was that fed up with just the constant abuse, the constant days of just being attacked and hated for something that like I know is he's an amazing person. Just because these people are so idiotic and moronic when it comes to like their opinions of things. And there was many times where it was just like I'd had enough. So the school would always like at one point, this is how shit my school was. At one point, they thought I was the problem. So what they did, because they wouldn't take anything seriously that we were saying, and they were
yeah,
also racist in the teachers and the head teachers and stuff like that. And they and this is the real kicker, because my mum would complain about it and they would do nothing, but then they'd always have me in. Like at one point, I was put on opposite classes, which meant that I started later than everyone else. I didn't have a class with anyone else. I did all my classes outside the head teacher's office. When it was like break time and stuff, I was just on my own because everyone else was in class. So I was in like a full isolation. And all it did was just make me more angry, like more annoyed, more like,
yes,
why am I being like so disrespected? Why am I being hated? And then I'm speaking to my friends back in like where I used to live, and they're like, okay, their schooling's not amazing. There's still plenty of stuff going on, but they're having fun, they're having a normal life, like things are going. So like my whole secondary school was just absolute, just full of cunts, and I hope I can swear. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, I
really bad
swear all
on
the fucking time. You're good. You're good.
that.
You're good.
And it's just like I built such a deep hatred, and really, if it wasn't for Counter-Strike and certain people later on in my life, I probably would have been in that dark space for a long time, because I feel like I genuinely could have been smart, but I'm so dumb, and like I'm so far behind in terms of like what is
Yeah.
book smart knowledge and stuff, because I was hindered by everything. Like I remember going to ICT and I got an A star in my coursework because obviously it's computers. I was inside and out of it, and then basically some people tied me up and tied me to a lamppost, and I missed the exam. So then I ended up with a D, so I didn't even get a C. And they literally tied
Wow.
me up because they didn't want me to succeed, and they hated my family. Like there's even times where we had, so some of my stepdad's family, obviously all black people, young kids and stuff. We were in the park, and people were starting to try and like fight us and bully us and stuff down there. It was so wild. Like the whole thing was just so messed up, that childhood part.
I want to ask you, I want to kind of like diverge for a second, and I kind of want
Yeah.
to touch on like bullying and like school shootings that happen nowadays. Because, I mean, if you're willing to kill someone, then is it that far that this is kind of a product of our society and the way that our school systems work? You think that we've
Oh,
seen some of these
100%.
things?
The schools are fucked. Schools, like, literally, if I can homeschool my son, and well, because I'm sure we'll get into my son's stuff later on, but if
Yeah.
I could homeschool him, I would. I don't believe in the school systems at all. Their teachers are just the dumbest fucks I've ever met in my entire life. Head teachers got no clue what's going on. They blame resources, but actually it's because they don't care. They're not genuine people who actually want to do their job. They maybe go in at the beginning when they're young, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is great. I'm going to change the world. Then they realize they can't change the world because it's actually the system that's so corrupt and messed up, and like nothing is going to work out, and they try to teach everyone in the same way. The classes are too big and got too many people inside of it. It's just like some of the smartest people I know never went to school. Like they were homeschooled, or they even schooled themselves and stuff like that. Like in general in the UK, the school system's fucked. Our government are just the most clueless as any governments. I'm sure everyone hates their governments in different ways. Maybe there's people out there like their governments. I don't know, but I haven't met them yet.
I feel like
But
most
like,
Canadians like their government. I don't know.
oh
Every
yeah,
Canadian.
Canada seems to win, doesn't it? And generally everything. It's like we got legal weed, like everyone's happy in general. Like we got maple syrup, the air's cleaner, we got
Yeah,
snow
every
when we want it.
Canadian
Like
I've talked, there's
everything's
very
food.
few Canadians who I've met who don't like the, but no, like, because I think about my schooling and the
Yeah,
just being held back by the system. Like it was what I was going through too, and the only reason that I think the only reason I graduated college is because I changed schools to a school that was like very much higher in the tier of caring about their school system, and I had to do tutoring for like 20 hours a week to catch up in like my
yeah,
last
see,
2 years of high school because I was so far behind just because they wouldn't finish books. Like it
yeah,
was like they just didn't care enough to actually go through all the schoolwork so I could learn. And so it wasn't my fault that I wasn't learning because I did great in that school, but it's just that
yeah.
they didn't actually go through the material for me to learn. So
There's so many things, right, as well. When you look at the school system, is the real smart kids will get like special classes they can go to avoid the bullies, for example, right? And they'll get a little bit of isolation. They'll get better treatment from the teachers because it looks good on their statistics. So you keep like the top two classes maybe on a good level. They maybe have one or two guys that can protect them a bit. So if they keep their numbers strong, they can just generally stay away from the shit. It's the people in the middle and the people on the lower down who are trying to be smart and trying to better themselves get grouped with all like the complete dumbasses who don't want to learn, and then
yeah.
they get fucked by it. And it's just like if you literally try to have more teachers, maybe I'd say 10 to 12 would be an ideal size for a class, and have more focus down. And yes, I know it's more money, I know all this stuff, but someone's just got to wake the fuck up and work this out, because it's like such a horrible system at the moment. And if anyone's having a kid, or anyone thinks that like going to school, even if they had a good school experience, is a good idea, don't take my advice. Just Google, look, see examples of
Yeah.
homeschooling, and trust me, that is the way to go, because there's the proof is in the pudding.
Well, we're kind of in a unique situation now. It's horrible with coronavirus. Like everyone, like the economy is in not a good spot, but jobs are
Yeah,
not in a good spot. But one of the things about this that I find super interesting and could have lasting effects is actually on our school systems, because you're kind of forced now to do everything either online
yeah,
or homeschooled. And so it's kind of forcing the wider public in general into this either homeschool or online schooling, which I think is an interesting idea. What do you think about that? Do you think that's going to push us into more fixing the school systems maybe?
I think our government or our governments in general, are too dumb to even get to that point yet. It's going to take someone to really. There's going to have to be some huge changes, or maybe the death rate goes up, or more people are hurt and stabbed and stuff. I have no idea on the answer, but I think there'll be a lot more parents that start to see,
Yeah.
oh wow, this homeschooling stuff's actually legit. Like it works. I think that's going to be the kicker. Like that's going to educate them more. But I also think more people that come from like, how old are you, Blake?
I'm 28. I'll be.
Okay, so yeah, you're
28.
similar age to me then. So I'm
Yeah,
19.
we're about the same age. Yeah.
So like people of our generation and upwards, we are wiser thanks to the internet in terms of like general process and stuff. And I think that is what's going to push the move more to homeschooling. But if you just look at global numbers, homeschooling keeps going up just by a few percentage every single year. So eventually it will get there. Like my cousin, his job was always to move around a lot. Two of his kids were fully homeschooled, and they are incredibly successful at what they do. Beyond smart, like crazy smart. The only thing I think they could maybe do is a bit more social skills, but that comes to maybe doing more clubs or something outside of it. So there's always a balance to have over the whole way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't. There's very few people I've met who've been homeschooled who I thought were not just super incredibly smart. And like I knew people who they'd homeschool and then they would do extracurricular activities. Like I knew one person who would do all of his schoolwork in the summertime, and he would literally just snowboard the entire the entire winter. That's all he would do. Is he would practice snowboarding and hanging out with snowboarders, and he would do his school when he wasn't snowboarding, and he was an incredible snowboarder. And I was like, wow, that sounds like an amazing life. I wish that I had that. So, yeah, I think that homeschooling is a way to go. So kind of looking at your schools, you mentioned that you did well in school and you were smart, but you were kind of held back by the systems or the schooling. When did you really start to notice that? Is that when you hit secondary school?
Probably when we got to like year 9. So in the UK in year 9, maybe it's still this way. You get to choose like kind of the subjects you focus on a bit more.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm diabetic, right? So I became diabetic at 13, and I chose sports studies because I've always been athletic. I was on the basketball team, like as when I was in the lower years. I didn't get picked for the basketball team simply because, again, it was like I had skill, like mad skill in basketball. My stepdad was teaching me. We were on the court all the time. I had friends that played a lot, and I wasn't picked simply because the other people on the team didn't want me there because I have a black stepdad. So we come back to that crap again. But the teacher was the one who tried to like force me onto it. Even then, still couldn't get it working. But I was always involved in sports. I was always able to hold my own. So when I picked sports studies, they couldn't say no to me. It was like my choice at that point. So even when I wanted to excel in these things, I had business studies, geography, because obviously esports and stuff, and generally traveling, ICT and sports studies. That's what I went for. And I should have smashed sports studies, ICT, and geography like easy. But it was actually only business studies where the teacher was good enough where I completely excelled in it. And everything else was just like falling apart because I was always fighting. I was always put into the isolation. They tried to give me a counselor at one point, which I definitely didn't need. Like that was just their way of trying to say that I was the problem. So it was like, I definitely realized when I was probably 14, 15.
Okay. So I want to ask, you mentioned that your best friend passed away, was killed. When did that happen to you?
Oh, I think that was when I was 21 or so.
21. So it was way after school.
Well. Yeah, way after school and that stuff. That was still when I was like deep into esports and all that kind of thing.
Right. So one of the other things that you mentioned is that drugs and alcohol were kind of a thing that you had suffered from. When did those start to play a role in your life? Because from most of the people who I know because I used to work with a lot of drug addicts actually when I used to work in mental health, and a very common age was between 12 and 16.
Yeah, I think I was like 12 or 13 when I first started picking up weed. And obviously weed is not really, like, if you do your research on it, it's not super harmful drug. It's definitely not good to be taken when you're that young and your mind's not developed and stuff.
It has more to do with the age that I worry about weed than anything else, because you shouldn't be altering your brain chemistry at the age of 12.
Definitely not. But for me, it was a way out of all the shit, and like even my parents don't know the age I started, so this is really a first in many ways. Sorry, Mum. Sorry, Dad. When you watch this will be a laugh because they.
What was the first time? How did you get into it? Because I don't think a lot of people would realize.
So like I was selling drugs at the time between when I was 11 and 13, and that was very
How do you get involved
like,
in that though? Is it like one day someone comes up like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" Like I feel like that's a process to get into. It's not like one day you just.
we just kind of went out for it. Like it was a way of making your own money. When you come from poverty, you want to find your own way. You're not getting pocket money as much. Like I was lucky, I did get a bit of pocket money, but
Yeah.
like I was like, oh, cool, this is going to be probably the best way that I can actually find a way out of this stuff and live like these other kids, right? Because at that year, you're also done as a kid, and I'm thinking like all these other kids I was going to school with, they got all this flash stuff. Maybe they'll accept me if I'm like wearing this and that, and buying these things, or I have respect and power. But even that didn't work out. So like I only did it for a few years, and I was very lucky because the dealers that kind of accepted me, and when I say I was selling drugs, it wasn't in a sense that I was actually passing it on to other people. Basically, the police would not stop kids as often, right? So when
Yeah.
you're that young and you're that little, I used to just basically get given a backpack. It would have some money in it, or it would have some drugs in it, and you'd cycle to one location to another, drop it off to the people, and then come back. Because obviously they're looking for the proper dealers. They're looking to get them with everything. So just running it back and forward. You were then part of a crew. You had people that looked after you. It also meant that at school people were obviously there was times where I'm bringing people down from where I used to live to really make a ruckus to the school kids because they couldn't handle that. And that was the other thing. That was where I had the power. And that's where I really got addicted to like that kind of level of power and respect because yeah, you can fuck with me on my own, but you're not going to mess with these guys because they're there's a whole nother level of stuff they're doing. And these guys have never even seen this type of lifestyle. So it's very bad. And when I look at it now, it's like, whoa, I should have never done that. But I remember one guy, and I've said, I'm not going to name him for obvious reasons, but he was one of the head guys at the time. And he basically turned around and he was like, look, you're doing all this gaming stuff. And like, I was starting to go to events and things. And he's like, I'm literally going to pay you, obviously not as much as what I'm paying you, but I'm going to give you money. And you just stay at home and play your games. Like you can hang with us and stuff, but he's like, you're not doing this stuff anymore. Because he's like, at the time, these kind of drug dealers compared to the idiots you have now, and this is another thing of like media and following videos like this. I love rap music and hip hop and stuff, but there was definitely some music that has a whole lot of negative way of talking about this life rather than a more positive way or explaining how they got out. And these guys at the time were definitely trying to make the drugs, to buy a house, to have a car, and then get the hell out, try and better themselves, even put themselves through courses and stuff. Now, that's definitely not every drug dealer. Some people are just going in for it like, oh, we're going to make loads of money doing this, and then end up in jail. But
Yeah.
like the guy that said to me was just like, look, this gaming stuff's actually doing something for you. Like there's people that want to pay for you to go to these events. He's like, I don't understand it. He goes, I don't even like own a console or anything. I'm like, yeah, I play PC. And he just turned around and was like, look, I can give you some money and like we're all cool, we'll keep looking after you. He's like, you should probably follow this stuff. So that was my real focus on to be like, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna get given money and I get to play games. And then I even went and picked up a paper round. I did a paper round from when I was 12 until I was 16, maybe 17. And that was like every morning getting up at like 5:30 a.m., going to pick up the papers, delivering the papers everywhere, and just trying to earn a little bit more money. So again, I think that comes from like the grafting of my dad, for example, just like rubbing off on me and what I thought was the way I'd just try and keep that hard work ethic. Like the thing I love now is Dwayne Johnson has the hardest worker in the room, and he's a big inspiration to me in like fitness and just general success as well, and where he comes from. His books, his biographies is amazing. If anyone is interested in checking it out, but like he always says hardest worker in the room, and like I've always just tried to be that, even without knowing it.
Yeah. I don't mean to keep going back to this, but I don't know a lot about like the gang lifestyle and getting in there and stuff like that. And so I find it like really fascinating almost that you were correct me if I'm wrong, but you were kind of pushed into this because you needed a group to fit into, and that was a group that would accept you because of everyone else. And so you were kind of forced into this, and when you like, I don't want to say forced, like, oh, hey, you have to, but it was like there was nowhere else for you to go. And these people accepted you. And they protected you, and they cared for you, and they even cared for you enough to where they said, "Listen, you have an opportunity to get out of this. You should do that." That's very different from a lot of other stories that I've heard nowadays, which terrifies me in the way that it's changed.
Oh, don't worry. These guys had like guns, knives, like
Yeah,
I'm talking about machine guns, not just pistols and stuff, copious amounts of drugs. Obviously, there was a lot of battles and stuff and things going on. But the one thing that it gave me was a way of making sure that if shit really got bad for school or whatever, that I could cool down on enough power that I wouldn't have to be fearing for my life when I go to school every day. And I think that was the bit that was really like a key part for me.
yeah. You mentioned that this was a good way to make money for a while selling drugs. What is your relationship to money? Because I know mine is very interesting, I think, comparative to a lot of people. So, like, for example, when I was working in, like, Overwatch, like, you'd see people who would buy extremely expensive shoes, and I never could really grasp it. Or, like, there's just things where I'm just like, that seems like a waste of money that you could put elsewhere. And this is because I grew up pretty poor, and I'm like, there's certain things that you can spend money on and you can enjoy it, but there should be some cost utility for it. And then there's other things that I see people spend, and I'm like, wow, that's just very frivolous, and I don't understand it. So
I'm probably in the middle of what you were saying, because like, so for me, money's very important because we didn't have much. So as a kid, I didn't have what I wanted. I didn't have like a new PC. I was playing 30 FPS even when I was starting off like my pro career, until my dad like went and got his nice PC, which is why I kept going to play with him and stuff. And for me, it was always like money is such a big factor of getting me out of where I'm from, like pushing me to where I want to go, where I might see myself. And I saw money as like, okay, money gives you opportunity, money gives you power, and then money gives you respect. And those are the three things that as a kid was like a huge focus for me. Where now, like, I'll buy nice things. Like I'm sat here wearing, okay, this is only a gym top, but I'm wearing like an Under Armour pants, whatever you call trousers, tracksuit pants, and they're more expensive than I could go buy like a cheap pair of sweats, for example. But I come with my mum's mentality of this is like, I'll spend money on things if the quality or the comfort level is good enough to justify it. Like I've got like a pair of Yeezys, for example. I love them for events. I love them because they're super comfortable, but obviously they're like $300 shoes. I don't have to go and buy them. I'm just in a position where I can buy them. But I'll never go and buy something, or I'll never go and put money down on something that like is going to hurt me in the month. Like I'm not looking to eat bad for the rest of the month because I went and bought some crazy stupid thing. Like I don't go and buy Gucci or Louis Vuitton or anything too mad extreme like that. But I like nice things if the quality is good enough. Like I even did it when it came to gaming gear. I'd asked for Christmas presents and birthday presents. I wanted like the new headset that was going to give me a benefit to playing CS, right? Or a mouse that was going to potentially be better reactions faster, especially as technology was improving so quick throughout all of that. It's one of those things where like I will definitely spend well, and like especially to other people. Like I treat my son probably too well. Probably my missus will probably hate me for saying this, but I definitely treat her very well, considering like a few months ago I just basically told her like, you don't need to work anymore. Like, don't do a normal, boring job. Like, everyone has to do a 9 to 5. That's just a fucking chumps game. Like, quit that job and focus on your dreams. So, like, we set her up with her fashion designing and everything like that. And now she's killing it, doing her drawings and what she wants to do. But that's because I'm in a position where I can do that. Admittedly, with coronavirus, it's really messed a lot of things up. But
isn't that crazy though, with the opportunity? Like just the idea that if you have enough money, the opportunities that you can get in life just vastly open up. Like,
that's why I like opportunity being like the number one with it, right? Because when you have had nothing for so long, and then you're able to change such a vast way. And obviously, I live in Ukraine at the moment, so I've opted to live, and it's super cheap to live here compared to the UK. So I've done the property. I used to work for a property company in the UK, one that I helped win the International Property Award of the year. 2018 maybe it was, or 17, a few years back. But I helped that property company do it, but I was huge into the investment side and learning about all of that kind of stuff. And it really was like a huge eye opener in terms of what money can do and how money you can make it work for you and stuff. Like, I know a lot of people do stocks and the Bitcoin and crypto stuff. Like, that's not stuff I really know. So it's like, I just straight up saw property was good. I saw it was a constant. I saw like what I was doing in gaming and stuff was going smarter and faster, and I always made sure like I had a backup skill along the way. But I just realized that money quickly could make things better. And even when, like I said, with the bad side of it, like the power and respect, when you're from where I'm from, at a point where I think I was 22, 23, I remember my house being like and this is just before I hit my depression spike. I think that them years are right. My mum would be better on remembering years. I probably should have asked her before coming on.
That's okay.
There's one thing that's legit. I'm bad with like dates. Like at one point, I even forgot my birthday. So I'm born on the 13th of May, the same day as my mum. For years, I kept telling people I was born on the 15th of May. I'm like, what? My mum was like, why'd you keep telling people this? She thought I was joking. I was like, oh, I actually thought I was born on the 15th of May. I thought we were born on the 15th of May. And she's like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, oh, yeah.
It's just easier. 5's easier to remember than 3. Just change it up a couple days. It's not going to make that much of a difference.
It was so funny. It was so funny. But yeah, just opportunity has it, but the power and respect side of things is the scary part. Because like I was saying, when I had this apartment, I moved out on my own very young. I think I was 18 or 17 when I moved out from my parents because I wanted to have my own space to do the gaming, to do content creation and stuff. And like I said, we didn't come from a huge house, huge background, so we didn't have like lots of space. And with my mum working from home, me working from home as well, that wasn't going to work. So at one point, it got to the point where I had a lot of money because I basically worked a full-time job and I had the esports money coming in, even though it was very small back at this time. It was still like way more than what I'd ever been able to have. So there was points where I literally had a almost open door policy that all my friends would be able to just come and we'd hang out and chill. But I was really burning the candle at both ends at that point, like 9 to 5, gym, and then esports in the evening, and then chilling with my friends. And I think I was sleeping like 4, maybe 3 hours a night.
So one of the things that you had mentioned is that you started using drugs very young. How did that progress? That drug progression progress? Because I imagine it started off pretty simple, but when did it start to get much worse?
I think I became like an everyday user of weed probably from when I was like, from when I moved out basically. I'd always had smoked a lot of weed and tried to keep it a secret. I never really was a cigarette smoker until a bit later on with it. But when I moved out, it was every single day, and it wasn't just before my depression spike where I definitely hit a low where I picked up cocaine. So when people say like it's a gateway drug, I'd smoked all that time, done all this stuff, and never touched any other drugs. Like I dabbled and had like a couple of nights where you'd have say some ecstasy or something like that, and just because it's like friends were doing it and you go on a crazy one. Like I've never touched anything with like needles and things like that. Being a diabetic, I don't want to do any more injections than I already have to. Like I do 4 a day. I'm pretty cool with not doing any more needles. But like I think coke was the bad one because coke basically sent me on a bit where there was a time where I'd basically broken up with a girl that I was engaged to. She was cheating on me while I was away, so I've been with her for like 5 years. We traveled. I was still traveling for esports stuff. I came back. She'd been cheating on me with her boss or some mad shit, and I got rid of her. I did dumb stuff like afterwards. I ended up losing my job. And I was thinking, oh, this is all going to go bad. I just like, because I still had some, I've always been good with keeping savings, like keeping some money behind in case bad days came, because you kind of expect it when you come from nothing. Like eventually some shit's going to fuck up. And I remember there was one point where I literally was like, had my computer desk, there was like a mound of cocaine here, some weed. I'm literally staring at the screen. I'm like, shit, I need some real help. And I didn't have people around me, like in terms of friends, that were able to help me. But then again, I was able to go back to my family. I was able to go back to my mum, my stepdad, my dad. My dad even came and lived with me for a little bit. I had friends.
How old were you when you recognized this?
23, I think. I think it was around that age because I hit depression at 24 or so.
Okay. So you mentioned that your best friend died when you were 21.
Mm-hmm.
Did that set this spiral like downhill? Did that make or was it already going downhill?
No, even back then things were pretty good, like in terms of work and job wise and stuff. I think when you come from where we come from, you've seen enough people who are just either associates or slight friends that have been shot, killed, or died for whatever reason. That like, yeah, it was sucked. I definitely wanted revenge, and certain people did go out and find that revenge. But like, it was horrible to deal with. It was very upsetting, but you're almost numb to it by this point. Maybe if it happened when I was a bit younger, then not so bad. But like, it's one of those things where it wasn't
You're so normalized.
Part of the life. Yeah, it was just like he wanted to do what was good for him. He was trying to marry this girl. These people are idiots. It was wrong, but he was shot dead because like he knew what he could have potentially been getting into.
Are you still that normalized to it? Like, is death something that you're still fairly used to?
I was in an event the other time. One of my friends went to prison and then was killed in the prison. Someone sent for him to get killed in the prison. It's sadly like when you know these people and this is that lifestyle, it happens quite a lot. Like it's normal betrayals over drugs, over money, over girl. There was one over like there's one dumb one which is only like about 5 years ago over a girl. Like one guy went to prison and they were cousins or brothers or something, and then they had sex with the girl who he was supposed to be going out with while the other guy was in prison. So he came out of prison and literally killed the guy and then went back to prison. So it's like, great, yeah, good, smart shit you guys are doing. Like, and I say that so normally. Other people are like, oh my God, like what the hell? And that's only because sadly these stories happen way too often, but it's never put in the media. It's never put in papers. It's all
Yeah.
swept under the rug because we don't matter. Like at the bottom of the food chain, they don't care about us.
Do you ever worry, like, I want to sidestep a little bit. Do you ever worry about your son becoming this normalized to things like this? Is that something that you fear for?
No, I've done well enough where he'll never have to be in that environment. Like even when I split with his mum, they live in a good area. None of that stuff happens. Like they literally, I'm open. The way I see myself. So my son's only 3; he'll be 4 this year.
Yeah.
The way I see myself is I'll be open and honest with him. So he tells me at like 15 years old he wants to smoke weed, but then you smoke weed with me. Like I want to have an open, honest relationship in the point that he can literally come to me about anything. But he's not in an area where this kind of bad stuff will. It may be possible that stuff's around him, but it won't be like anywhere near my life. So
Okay.
I'm hoping I've been able to make a comfortable enough life that he's far enough away from this where this won't be a norm. It's more like I've had to go through this shit. Probably my parents went through worse and worse and worse if you go backwards, but we've gone far enough forward that you can keep it good. But you never know, right? Then white rich kids from wherever, like I don't know, the nicest areas in London, they'll come out there and they find themselves addicted and in craziness as well. So as long as it doesn't go too far that way, like we stick somewhere in the middle. I want him to be street smart and book smart at the same time. So he can get his street smarts from me and he can get his book smarts from his mum. And hopefully we find a good middle ground.
I mean, I think that sounds like a pretty good way to kind of go about that. So you started going through esports in the early days. You went through Counter-Strike 1.6, right? That's what you mainly played.
Yeah. I started on 1.3, but I was like semi-pro. So if you look at what pros are today, I was definitely not a pro of what today's level is, but I was pro in terms of I played for teams. We got paid a little bit of money. We went to events. We traveled.
Yeah.
We were a shit UK team. We got wrecked on a regular basis. Like, not even gonna lie, but we knew the game. We were good enough to be on like the upper echelon, right?
Okay.
So yeah, that was Counter-Strike was my starting. It's my passion. It's why I'm still involved now. It's why I still play even CSGO because I love what CS has to offer as a game. It's just one of those games similar to RuneScape for me, which I don't think I can ever let go of.
Yeah, I never got into RuneScape, but I played Ultima Online, and I kind of.
Yeah. I know that. I know that.
I know me and DJ Wheat actually reminisced about that, which is I still feel bad about that a little bit about that overlay, but we'll fix that later. But yeah, Ultima Online is like I was like 6 years old when I started, and that's like the one game that is like my nostalgia glasses are like forever stuck on that game.
Yeah, we all love that.
Oh, so good. One of the things I was going to ask you is you mentioned that secondary school was pretty rough. One of the things about you is you did go to college. You went to was it Wokingham? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah,
Bracknell and Wokingham.
Remember, college is Wokingham is correct. Yeah, so college for you guys is like university for us.
Oh, okay.
College is only the bit up from secondary school, which is why it's slightly different for you guys over in America. So it's like not paid. Like I no one in my family has been to university. At least anyone from my age and upwards. I don't know about some of the younger ones now. Maybe they have at this point, or maybe they're trying to. But like, unless you had money, you weren't going to university. Unless you had big brains, you weren't going to university. Like that stuff wasn't happening. So I basically just went to college to make sure I had some sort of skills. And basically, my goal was, because esports was not known if it was going to take off or get to the mad level, was okay, what can I do that's always going to be a fallback? So I went to college and did computer-aided design, and then I went and got a job that had nothing to do with that. Like literally nothing, didn't even use the skill set of it, but it was just like, I've got something. And the great thing that was good about college is the teachers there were so amazing. Like I remember I had one fight two fights in college, and one was because a boy was trying to grab his girlfriend in a way that I didn't like. Yeah. And by this point, even from what I went through in secondary school, because I found some friends in secondary school who were geeky gamers as well. So I kind of used to end up protecting them from the bullies. And then when I went to college, I kind of kept the role of like, I'm really big now, I'm going gym. People generally can't mess with me, and I've got a huge amount of confidence, and I'm trained in martial arts. I used to do kickboxing. I used to do MMA cage fighting. I've coached people and stuff that have won championship belts and things. So I was pretty sure I could handle myself. And obviously a lot of these people didn't come from any background like I came from. So I remember this one guy was just grabbing his girl, and he went to push her. And when he went to push her, I grabbed his hand, and he then went to swing for me. And I just basically like kicked him down the stairs, like a flight of stairs. And I basically told him, if you ever put your hands on her again and she comes to me, then you're going to end up in a worse time than what I do to you, because I'll send people to your house. And I definitely got like a very protective mentality to it. And the only other fight I got into was with a kid that was basically just not anything to do with like, it was just a stupid disagreement, and he started trying to fight me, and I was like, well, this isn't going to end well for you. But everything else at college, like teachers were amazing. They understood that like I just like to. So basically, they let me have my earphones in 24/7, because once I'd learned something, all I need to do is just listen to music and focus. I didn't like talking to people. I didn't like being there longer than I had to be. I wanted to go home and play Counter-Strike. I'd spoken to them about like my esports stuff, so I could still go travel and things like that. I even did like my end of year stuff where we were building stuff in computer aided design on making desks and a LAN center and stuff. I used SK Gaming as a reference. I think this is 2007, and so I was actually working for SK Gaming doing like journalism stuff from news writing. So I managed to combine all of it together, and because I was able to excel, like I passed everything with distinctions, which is the highest level you can get it at, and like I just smashed it out of the park. They even made me resit my maths, so I went and got a C in maths, so it was like a credible pass.
Nice.
Where I didn't have that from secondary school, and they really they helped show me that I am smart and I can use all this stuff, and it was actually proving everything that I thought about what secondary school told me. I was dumb, I was useless, I was not learning properly. College took me and treated you like an adult, even when we weren't quite adults. We were 16 at the time, so 16 to 18. But like I was even featured in their like the book that comes where they're trying to promote to other people like to come to the school. And obviously they generally give me like the kids that came from rough backgrounds or whatever, and then have them sit with me and explain that there's ways out of things and stuff. So it was really nice. It was like, it's where I started to get my more generosity and wanting to be like an inspiration to people.
Yeah, that's got to be such a counter positive influence to like everything else. And like having something like that, I feel like that's the thing, is like how people end up is like a accumulation of like all the bad shit versus like all the good shit. Like
Oh, definitely.
it's not like directly one to one, like, oh, if there's more bad shit than good shit, they're gonna end up being bad. But it definitely correlates to like, oh, hey, like what would James have been without any of these good things, without this awesome secondary school, without like some positive influences, without the gang members who, while you were working for them, still wanted you to get out. Like what would you have been like? That's a crazy thought.
It's so wild. I've sat down and had this conversation with my girlfriend, because like we're very good at talking and open. I think it's why this relationship is so much more successful than any I've had in the past. That like we can have these conversations about where we've come from, because she also doesn't come from such a good background, and like how you've become you, and I wouldn't be who I am today without all of this shit, which is why I don't really care that it's happened now. It's terrible when you're going through it, and that's why like I've even got a thing on my stream that pops up with depression that links to a video I've done where I'm talking to people like, it doesn't matter how horrible shit gets or how bad it gets or like what people are like, I can promise people there's some way out. Like if you can hang on, if you can keep going, there is that light at the end of the tunnel. I know it's a horrible thing that's used over and over again. It's just overused, but like it really is that way. Like I never saw a way out of this. I just thought college could be more of the same, fighting and stuff. And there's one teacher, her name was Sarah. I think she must have been in her 40s when she was teaching us. And like she was always, because I was, and this is gonna sound really like big headed, but being a guy who was in shape and very confident and had money, especially for that age, I was quite a hit with the ladies, not like going out and having loads of girlfriends and stuff, but like she knew I was like a bit of a flirt. So she even used to flirt with me as a teacher and then like banter me of like stuff. But then she'd also be able to kind of pull me into the classroom or pull me aside. And if she knew I wasn't like acting properly or doing something, or I was in a bad mood or whatever, she'd be able to like say like, don't worry, you're here now. Like this is a safe spot and things. So she was like a next level good teacher, like just incredible. So I owe so much to her, because she really made sure like I did loads of like good stuff, even when bad stuff was going on around me. Like she really kept me straight the whole time.
That's crazy. So you mentioned that 24, the depression kind of hits.
Yeah.
I believe at 24, were you working for? Were you doing calibration engineering? Is that what you were doing at the time?
Might have been a calibration engineer at that point. Yeah, that's for the British Army, basically. So they're a private company, got a British Army contract. They repair all the electronic stuff. I left college when I was 18 and did that for like 5 years. I even left and they let me come back, because basically I completed their 5-year apprenticeship in like 3 years, because I was very good with my hands, very good with technology. The guy there, I still play games with him now. He still comes on my stream. His dad is the owner of the company, and he's one of my like closest friends. Like I can share anything with him. And he was my manager at the time, and his dad was the one that owned the business. And he even let me basically, this is during StarCraft days, he used to let me watch GOM TV on my laptop while doing my work. So I was really lucky in all this, by the way. Like, first I listened to music in college. This guy's let me like literally watch streams while doing the work, because he knew I was just smashing out the work, like pumping out numbers. I was doing work that people have been there for like 5-6 years and had loads of experience, and I'm doing the same work with them after 2 years, because like anything he would give me, I would just learn and pick it up and try to do it. And the reason that skill was so key to me is, first of all, it made my dad proud, because it was like a manual skill, right? Not something that could be replaced by computers in his eyes or something else. It was a hands-on skill, but it was something where you'd always have a job, right? So even if this fails today, I can go do an electronics. It's no problem. I know it inside and out. So no matter what happens, I will always have that to fall back on, which is like my safety net. And that makes me feel good about even taking risks or doing other things like that.
Yeah. So how did you end up getting into this depression? Because I actually haven't heard the full story.
So I think depression first hit, because you've obviously got the years from LinkedIn, because I'm trying to remember years, me not being good with dates.
I do. Like, I will say, I don't write down questions. Like, anyone who thinks I write down questions, I don't write down questions at all. What I do is I do an extensive amounts of research on someone, so I know their life as much as I can inside and out.
By the way, that makes me so happy to hear, because some of the worst esports interviewers are just prepping, making questions in advance, and then they don't actually have a natural flow of conversation. Like, that's what pisses me off so much about terrible interviewers. The best way to do it is do your notes on the team, on the actual player, go a bit more deeper and stuff, and then field your questions on how you're feeling, work it out from there. So yeah, that's some smart shit, right? That's definitely well recommended, mate.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, I guess year-wise, I think the depression hit when I was 24 or so, maybe 23. But like, I remember it being specifically when I left the repair and calibration company, went to work for Antec, who's like a computer case and power supply company. They set up a gaming and esports brand, but then the company closed down after 6 months, and I was out of a job. Then I went back to the repair and calibration laboratories for a little bit. Then I went to the Yellow Pages. If you have it in the United States, they're called Haibu now. They do like digital stuff. And this was a wild way. So basically, I went in there on a job that was like, I went from earning like 30 grand a year to 17 or something. Went in as an associate for building websites for small businesses. Because like literally, I didn't want to go back to the repair and calibration, because I'd already been back to them. And I was like, I love the job, but like, I know I can do more. Like, I know I can do better than this. And esports still wasn't there where I could be full-time enough. At least I wasn't a big enough personality. Some of the huge personalities we have now were just starting to make it, but there's still a lot of online stuff and smaller events. And so I still needed to have this 50-50. So I interviewed for this job. I was the only dude that turned up in a suit, because obviously known from my parents how you should act and stuff. People were just going there and like treating it like this is going to be some easy entry job. I smashed the interview, and within 3 months of being just a normal web associate, I was putting out more numbers in terms of websites being created than anyone else in the office. And this is across 2 offices, one based outside London and then one that was in Scarborough up north. And like, it got to the point where people were saying, well, how can we replicate what he's doing? So a team manager position came up, and I didn't even really have the interview for it. They just basically gave it to me, because they were like, well, no one can do what you can do, and you'll be the first. So all the managers that were there at the time were just managers who could manage, but they couldn't technically do any of the skills.
Yeah.
So I was the first manager that was able to do everything and even put out output while managing a team. But the problem with what no one realized was, because we had a gym actually inside the office, which was wild, because I'd never been in a company that had a gym inside their office. I was like, this is the dream. This is a big corporate company. Obviously, corporate companies do suck dick now. I see that as like a huge, terrible thing. But at the time, I was like, this is my first go at it. So I was like, all guns blazing. And it was hilarious, because I was basically going to the gym in the morning, so before work, strolling in at 9 a.m., have my protein shake and stuff, do my work, bang out all the websites. This is before I was a manager. And then I'd go to the gym when everyone finished work, so everyone thinks I finish at normal time. But because the office was 24 hours, basically I didn't have anything to do at home other than play some games or like do some esports stuff. So I basically took my laptop, did esports stuff, and then did my content creation, and then did extra websites for them on the side. So I was able to just output so much more than anyone else. And that's just my work ethic again coming in. So when I was a manager, they put me into basically interviewed the people. I'd never interviewed anyone in my life. I was like, what the shit is this? Like, I'd done interviews in terms of esports interviews, but interviewed to hire people. I'm like, why is someone giving me this responsibility? And I basically picked the most. So I had to pick 12 people to be on my team. teach them the ropes. They'd go through the normal training process that the company gave, but then I'd have to like teach them how to be outputting like I did. And I basically took everyone that had no skills, no qualifications, had like everyone I looked for. Like there was one guy who even worked for me who was an ex-drug dealer. I think he'd even done prison time and stuff, was a bit older than me. But like I just picked everyone I thought that was like, I can motivate the shit out of this person and I can relate to him. Like there was a girl on there. She was like very airheady, blonde, beautiful girl. Like, oh my God, so beautiful. But I was like, why are you going for this job? And she was just like, my parents told me to get a job. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, they don't have much money. And I looked at like what her dress was and stuff and was thinking, okay, I can work with this. Like she wants to actually have her own money and have her own lifestyle. And some of the other people on the team, like I picked so the person who was like my deputy on the team was a guy I basically stole him from another team because we interviewed together and joined at the same time. And he now works for Rare doing Sea of Thieves, which is hilarious. Like he's an epic guy. He's so funny. But I was able to then snag him from one of the other teams, put me and him together. And we basically became so good, better than every other team. The other team managers were so against us that they were like, well, you have to teach us how to do this. But a lot of these people were like old in their like 30s, 40s plus at the time, trying to build websites when they could just about use computers because they come from traditional management on paper. So they were teaching me stuff in management. I'm trying to teach them computer stuff and how that was. But like, we won every single monthly award target. We beat all the records. And obviously when my team was slowing down and stuff, like when I got given new people and when they couldn't perform so well, because what would happen was the managers would complain that I've obviously trained up all this super elite people. So they'd take some of my good people and they give me brand new people. But if anyone wasn't hitting target, I'd just quickly bash out 2 websites myself and just give it to them because no one could see that I was doing it. So it just looked like so I'm like, I'm just going to win everything. And I won like employee of the year. It was so wild. I was like, this is the dream. But then what happened was people from the very top of the company, and this guy he was so smart. He was Oxford educated, purely rich family, like lived in a family house that his family have owned for generations, and like in beyond what I could ever see as like real life.
Yeah.
And he basically saw something in me and was like, he goes, how are you doing all this? So I explained it all to him. And he was like, look, come and work with me more. Like, I'll pull you out of your normal jobs. Like, no one can tell me. Because he was like the very tippity top.
Very, very high up. Okay.
Yeah, like literally you couldn't, if he walked on the floor, all the other managers were scared. And he kept spending more and more time with me. So then my boss, who was like an operations manager, she was obviously getting very jealous of this, thinking like I'm maybe gunning for her spot. But he had even bigger plans for me than that. But what ended up happening was they started trying to do me for things like that was just not like stuff I wasn't even doing wrong. Like they were saying, oh, he's too close with like staff and stuff like that. Not that I ever had any sort of relationships with him or like nothing sexual, nothing like anything other than a friendship. And eventually I saw the corporate cogs start turning because it even went above the guy who was looking after me's head. And even he said, he was like, I can't protect you anymore. He's like, you deserve so much better than this. And so then I went to try to take them through a tribunal, but they're a huge corporate company, so they just fucked me on all of it, and they just lying out their ass, and I just basically turned around and was like, all right, then fuck you, like I'm better than all you guys. And I still keep in contact with this guy today, and he's so happy to see like how well I'm doing. But like even him, who's been at the company for like 30 years, is like millionaire, like mad money, like just insane. Like he couldn't even protect me from the very top of it all because basically I was disrupting what was decided as the norm. So that's when I lost the job there, and then I had loads of time of unemployment. Then I hit my depression, and then I went and joined a property company, which is where you'll get onto. The problem with a property company was, and this is no joke when it comes to property, those motherfuckers are coked up to the eyeballs. My God, like beyond belief. It's wild that this is not some like big news story. It's no joke. These guys are working from like 7 in the morning till 10, 11 p.m. at night. And obviously I was a hard worker anyway. And I'm doing this from a marketing position. And my God, I literally was trying so hard to still do well. I basically got to the point, and it happened in the same way again, that my manager kept bumping me up until I was one below her. Then the directors were pulling me into meetings. The directors of the entire company were trying to get my ideas, pulling me into it all, and ignoring her, like leaving her out. So then she was worried. And then eventually they were trying to put me into like basically lead me up to run the whole department and go bigger. I helped us win the International Property Awards, mainly because of my doing with the digital marketing. And that's international. That's outside of the UK. They'd never won an award like that. And eventually, when I definitely was falling massively downhill in my depression. And I needed some time off. And even with everything I was doing, like I used to work, so we used to do an event so I'd work all day. We'd do an event from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. I'd go home and edit the videos until like 4 in the morning, as long as I could get a later coming in the morning. And they then tried to use that against me, even though that's what they agreed, so they could get the content out earlier. Because I was editing the videos, putting them on social, making all the tags and posts and doing everything, literally running myself ragged. And my depression just like hit me like a brick. And they just gave me no support. They found any way to get rid of me. And again, that's why I can see so many estate agents like, you're on coke, you're all messed up, you're being like lied to, you're just being used and churned out like you're some kind of robot. And that's where the depression really just kicked my ass, like destroyed me. I felt so hard back, and it really took like a massive step back in my life. And this is like I was saying, like 23, 24 years old, and you're supposed to start to have things like a little bit more figured out by this point.
Yeah. So what was the depression like, and were you still doing esports during this time? Like, what was esports looking like at this time?
I was commentating anything I could get my hands on. Basically, I spoke about this before on Foreign's podcast, that like basically Red Eye got hired for Gfinity. I was Gfinity's go-to guy. Basically, they hired me for every league they'd ever done, every tournament. Red Eye came in, was just a bit of a cunt, decided like, because everyone thinks this guy's such a nice person, but like he was definitely not nice to me, and it's been publicly put out there in the past that he's not been nice to other talent as well at times. And he basically turned around and said, you will now take the interviewer role, you will not be a commentator. This is when I was commentating grand finals with Semler, who is like huge, like my God. And he basically decided, I had one bad performance when I commentated the grand final, and it's because my blood sugars as a diabetic went low. The production staff even had to get me coke because we'd worked so long, so I had sugar intake while doing it. And it's where this video comes about the would you look at that meme, because basically when your blood sugars are going, your body's shutting down, your brain's slowing down. I'm still trying to commentate, so I'm just saying the same phrases over and over again. Semler's like carrying my ass, but it's literally the only, and I'm so nervous as well. I'm doing a grand final in front of a full audience of people. It's a big ass game, like it's so hyped. And I was just dead, not because of anything depression wise, but because of my body physically. And my diabetes just was mismanaged at the time by me. You're running around trying to do so much, trying to eat and stuff. And Red Eye basically forced me to move to the interviewer role and basically said like, well, you'll be out of work if you don't take this role. So it just gave me no choice. And you can't mess with someone that bigger than you when it comes to this. And I was definitely like being bullied by an old man. And well, look at his career now, right? Like he's not doing CS anymore. Alex is a million times better host than him. Stunner as well. Like those guys are out there doing well, but he's quick to take the praise for everything, but like he's trying to hide his own thing. And he's got that like book out at the moment. But this guy, like I face to face at Katowice maybe 2 years ago. I brought it up to him, and he tried to act like, oh, it's all cool now. Like you're doing well. Like it was nothing personal. It's like it definitely was personal. You just want to put your friends in the position. And so like, just you can tell again, he's from some guy. He's just a guy from this nice background, perfect normal life and stuff. And he thinks he can just take all this control. Well, that shit's changing now. The world is changing in that sense. More people are being open and honest. And basically, I was doing esports non-stop, right? I never really stopped. I had like a 1 year gap during my depression where what I did was stream more and play more games on stream because I couldn't do the events. But I still pick up events where I could just do like a Saturday, Sunday, or maybe an evening commentary, even if it was no money. Like I never would be completely out of it. So that's kind of where I was at that point.
Yeah. You actually, like, you have a very interesting kind of perspective with esports. It feels like a lot of times esports, they're like, it's a very small community, even though it's very big. Like, right? Like that's the best. Like it's like everyone pretty much knows everyone. Like there's a lot of people who know, and like I'm not big at all. I'm very, very small, but there's still like a lot of
fantastic work. Because I mentioned when I saw you, right, it was the Anders one you did. Then I was like, okay, this kid's doing something different. Like this is. Well, by the way, when I say kid, that's like slang.
I know,
like
you're good. You're good. I understand. I understand. I also look 12, James. I look 12. Okay, you thought it when you asked me my age earlier. You were like, this kid's like 21, 22.
It's like an old man like me. You're lucky. This will benefit you later on in life.
Yeah, like 10 years from now, maybe.
But like, I legit had this many times, right? Well, I'll call people because very British saying is saying son to people, like, oh, go on, son, like, do that.
Yeah.
People are like, I'm not your son. It's like, I don't mean it literally. And then I have to
Yeah.
explain it also. That's what I
No,
was
you're
going
good. Other people use that slang, so we're good. But yeah, so
But
like,
your,
but
your
there's still
Anders thing
people
was
who know me.
amazing. That's why I'm here now. Yeah, that's why I was happy to do it, because I saw the one you did with Anders and I was like, okay, this kid's doing something different. It's very good. I like the kind of content it is, and it's very open and honest. And that's kind of where I want to put myself now. So yeah, props
Yeah.
to you on that.
But like what I was getting at is like the networking is very small and people know each other. But there is an aspect of I feel like sometimes people try to hold other people down, and I feel like
Oh,
with your
definitely.
life, it's happened actually a lot, like through
Yeah.
journalism, through hosting, through commentating. I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
it's
fuck the
happened to you.
BBC. Like, those cunts just need to fuck off and be destroyed. That
What do
horrible
you hate
company.
about BBC?
Literally, yeah, they made an article on me where they took words from my tweets from years ago when I was a kid, and one was about saying that there was a mixed team, yeah, and they took mixed team as I don't want mixed genders. This is all because I won
Mm.
an award at the female. It was the women's esports
You got
award.
a lot of crap for that.
Yeah, oh, mate, I that nearly put me back into depression as well. This is a story and a half. So, oh god, I feel like my life. So Sponge and Foreign say my life is like a movie. Like when you explain this to people, it's like someone's taking a movie. So maybe one day, if I ever get so famous, they'll make a whole movie on this shit. Someone really good looking can play me, hugely jacked, you know, like just
Yeah.
make me look amazing. Don't even have to wear the glasses at this point. Let's go for it Hollywood style. But yeah, it's incredible. So I went to this Women in Esports Awards because back in the 1.6 days, I managed a team with no funds. I helped them get sponsorships that were not just them having their assets, you know, like boobs and stuff showing, having to wear skimpy outfits and stuff. I got them a great deal where they could be actual professionals. I worked with many players. I worked with Pansy when she first came up as a commentator, was commentating with her. Like, I let Shocks, before she was even big in League of Legends, she was working at SK Gaming, come to our team house in Korea because I liked the content. I saw how skilled she was. Like, I've been nothing but positive, and especially when I have so many females in my life, they're so important. Like, I would never. And they took my tweet that said about mixed teams, which in Counter Strike, mixed team means like if me, you, and a bunch of randoms put a team together and attend an event. I basically said that people should not be going to LAN events if they are a mixed team, like
Yeah.
proper events. You're messing up the system. It's not legit. Like, you might have
Yeah.
a one gung ho thing, and I don't mean like anyone can make a mixed team and just go to an event. Yeah, but I mean like we should not be seeing mixed teams at like majors and ESL ones and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And they took that tweet, made a whole article around it, say how I didn't deserve to win the award, and then this dumb woman, oh, I forget her name. She's just irrelevant anyway. She works for PlayStation now or something. She just basically went on. She was on a panel with me when I'm giving advice to all the other ladies in the room about how to do things, how to be broadcast, do all this stuff. And she turned around and went to the BBC and just agreed to him and said, I'll give a quote so I can be on the BBC. I was just like, yeah, he seemed really off. Yet every other person, every other female at the entire event applauded me when I got my award for my achievements, what I'd done to push female gaming forward. And the BBC literally took this article and just said like guy wins thing award and balled up these tweets I did. Now there's one bad tweet that I did when I was a kid, right? I was like 18. I came back from Sweden, and Sweden has a lot of very good looking women. And I put a tweet out that said that the standard of women, quality of women has dropped. Now I've come back home. Okay, it was a dumb fucking comment.
That's a
right?
bad. You're young. You know it's bad. You know it's bad.
And it's like they pulled shit up that long ago. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? And by the way, so this time I'd already split with my son's mum, and I had my son for one day. They gave me 4 hours to respond. So I had to try and get my agent to help me out. They gave me 4 hours to respond and said they're releasing the article without fail if I don't respond. You're like, this is your only chance. And I even spoke to the woman on the phone, and she was just an utter cunt. Like, fuck the BBC. They've got no work ethics. They come to esports events and try to be treated like they're fucking royalty, and then ask dumb people questions like, what did you have for breakfast today? What game are you looking forward to? Well, they're playing one team today, so you should have done that if you did your own fucking research, you absolute numpties. Like, literally, just
Like,
never
I feel
get
like
involved in the BBC.
just knowing that they're playing a team, I can come up with at least 5 questions that are at least relevant, and I know nothing about who the player is or who the team is.
Mate, so they tried to interview me during the Berlin Major, and the guy they had obviously had no idea about my article. And this is what was amazing, because I even said, yeah, I'll accept the interview. Walked up to him and was like, so you work for the BBC? I was like, have you done any research? And he's like, oh, I know about you. And I was like, go on then, give me your numbers. And he's like, well, you've done this, 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 and this. I said, do you realize that you cunts wrote this article on me, literally tried to trash my career, lost me work, lost me jobs. And then when they tweeted out, a feminist or non-feminist, because feminism is just so, this baffles me as well right now, because it used to be about equality, and I was all for that, because there should be equality in everything, from
You just have extremist groups.
Race, age. But we've gone so far away now where people don't actually want equality. What they want is females to be up here and everyone else to be below. So this group with 300,000 followers on Twitter retweeted the article and tagged me in it. These mental cases were taking pictures of me and my son when I just split with his mum and saying, you deserve to have your son taken away from you because of the awful human being you are. No wonder you're not allowed to see him. Blah, blah, this, blah, blah, blah. Like, it was all this absolutely horrendous stuff they were going through. And I mean, I was so on the bro. Like, I tried to fight him at first. My fans tried to fight him because there's so many of them. You couldn't fight them. Like, you just had to lock it down. I had to basically, my agent changed my password, locked me out of Twitter because I just couldn't handle it anymore. Like, I was going to have a meltdown. And these people were just the utter scum. So the BBC never even apologized, never even took the article down. It's still out there now, and they're just absolute cunts. The person that works for the BBC, the woman that put it together, literally, I hope you have every bad luck you could possibly get, because karma's going to eat you up very shortly, love. Like, it's just disgusting. They were taking pictures. So one of my fans replied, they took a picture of his dog. Yeah, that his dog had died, and he put up a post from like months ago saying like blah blah blah, really upset. And they were like, oh, because you support like people that are against females, that your dog deserves to die. It's like,
Jesus
what is this? Like, why is this real life?
This brings up an interesting thing with online bullying in general, and like, because like you mentioned like in school bullying and the extremes, but both of us kind of avoided the social media as far as like growing up as a kid. Like, it wasn't as
I love that social media wasn't there when we were a kid. Like, when I was a player, no social media. You just
I know, right?
Happy days. Oh, it was heaven. Please.
There's like nowadays there's actually a lot of correlations between like young teenage depression and suicide related to social media, and it's terrifying. As a concept, and you being a personality who's on the internet, you see a lot of this hatred every day, or all like a fair amount.
Yeah.
What do you?
If it wasn't for my mum, I'd be dead right now, because I was so close to suicide. Like, some of the comments I was getting, mate, was unreal. It was literally telling me like I don't deserve my son, when I'm literally going through stuff where I've just split with his mum. They were telling me to kill myself. They were telling me I was a worthless human being. People were saying they were going to come to my house and find me. And I'm not a person that's scared or threatened, right? But like, when you got an angry mob like this telling you they're going to do this kind of stuff, and you can't defend yourself because you don't know where it's coming from, and the BBC caused all of this, people wonder like, this dickhead journalist, this guy, he's now working for the BBC in the gaming sector or whatever the fuck they pretend it is. And he was like, we're not all bad. He said this recently to me. And luckily, Foreign even stepped in to help me out, because people were trying to like say, oh, well, it might have changed now they've hired him. He still doesn't know anything. He's still working for a horrible company. If he's actually got any ethic within him, he wouldn't work for them. Simple as that. Like, BBC have done no good. You go look at their other articles. They've done articles on females gamers where they basically twisted all the words of people like Miss Harvey, who's a legend. I literally worked alongside her when I was at SK Gaming. They took words of hers and turned it around. They messed up with words that Giuliano said and took it out of context just to create an article with clickbait titles and things.
We're back at it. So welcome back. I'm happy you tapped out before me. I'm so happy.
Mate, if you ever try a juicing diet, right, they say to drink more water. So like, you're supposed to take vitamins and stuff as well. So basically, obviously, we're quarantined. So we've been quarantined for 2 weeks. Means we're going out less. I can only work out from home workouts. Can't use a proper gym. So I even bought some like weights and kettlebells and stuff now. And it's wild. Does my camera move, by the way? Because it looks like my head's just dropped down even lower.
Oh, yeah.
My camera. Yeah, my camera is so terrible.
Oh, it's okay.
Basically, I borrowed all my stuff from WePlay because I had no computer here in Kiev. I just had my laptop, so I've borrowed everything from elsewhere. Let's see how it looks. Does it look good now? You happy with that?
You're good. You're good. Cool. That looks really good.
Yeah, we're doing this juicing diet to detox and also like stay healthy, not have too many calories when you're not doing as much. Remember, we're literally just stuck at home.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really good for like cleansing the body, getting yourself out, having a bunch of vitamins alongside it. But it's like drinking so much water as well. So you're having juices and loads of water. It's just like, oh my God. I don't think I've ever been to the toilet so much in my life.
I quit caffeine, 3 months ago now, I think.
Oh,
Like I
wow.
completely cut out caffeine because I drank way too much
You
caffeine.
just like dead cut it as well.
Oh yeah, well, it's because I
Damn.
used to work with addiction stuff, and so everything that I know, you should just strictly dead cut, like most
Oh
things.
wow. Okay.
So not
Maybe you need to knock
alcohol
these on
because
the
you
head as
can,
well then.
yeah. So not alcohol because you can die, and not benzos because you can die from cutting those. Like those are the two things that if you cut strict, you'll die from. So you have to be brought down from them. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Well,
So
fair play on the caffeine. Well
yeah,
done.
but yeah, it was the first week was rough. After the first week, I've been good, and I haven't like when I traveled recently. That was actually the hardest time dealing with caffeine. And occasionally, when the girlfriend makes coffee on the weekends, like the
You can
weekends
smell it, I bet.
specifically, yeah, I can smell it. But when I'm traveling, I used to always get like espressos and lattes when I would travel. And so when I traveled recently, it was like the hardest thing because you can smell the coffee, and like even now, I'm like salivating thinking about it. But
Even in
those,
airports, man, that's the worst. That smell travels so fast. It's like
oh,
a
it
Starbucks
does.
something inside. It's just like everyone's getting a coffee right there. We're just like
Oh
in
yeah.
airports. What else to do? Just like, oh yeah, I can smell it like crazy.
Yeah, so we were talking about a lot of the bad stuff and companies that have pushed you down, and you mentioned the BBC, but that's not the only company.
Oh my
UNIRKN is one of those
God.
companies that, yeah, oh god, this is where that research comes in. You left UNIRKN because they were doing some shady deals.
Yeah,
Okay,
big time.
what happened?
So it was a German company that they set up, but they're an American organization. Now, the American side of it is epic. The guys behind it are solid. Can't fault
Are
them
they
in any way.
okay?
I've had really good relationship with them. I never had any problems with them. But the German side was put together. They hired a guy called Tom Lemke. He was working on come from other betting companies, and he was going to start the EU office, and they can get an EU license, and we have to do all this stuff, and it was all going to be amazing. Then they wanted to create a content studio, start doing streaming, and they picked me as one of the people to come do it. Sounded like an awesome job. Salary was looking good. I think it was explained to me, but like it all quickly fell apart once I moved. So I moved me, my ex, and my son, who was less than one, to Germany because it was like an opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah,
And it was just so much lies and bullshit. Like I finally thought like I can go full time in esports, I can have a stable salary to support my family, and they were going to let me do freelance stuff on the side as well, as long as it didn't clash with their stuff, which made perfect sense to me.
yeah.
I came in working with a woman called Petya Foxy, old school legend, female Counter-Strike 1.6 player. Still now she works at Twitch, amazing person. Even she was getting fucked. Like she left before I left. And basically this guy, Tom Lemke, who still was working in companies and stuff now. Luckily, I don't think he's anything to do with Big Clan anymore because I've got a good relationship with them. He's just an asshole, this guy, full of just so much bullshit. Like they offered me a salary. I obviously was looking at German livings and stuff and how it all worked out. And they basically told me that this is what you'll have. This is like the kind of property prices and things. This is what you'll be able to be like support your family on. Because obviously my girlfriend at the time couldn't work. Mother of my child, she's looking after a baby. Did it all, made it all work out. Went over there. At first, they took you to like fancy dinners, like really nice restaurants in Berlin. Showed you around.
Oh,
Looked at
they
a good
they bougied
apartment.
you up. They were like,
Oh
"Yeah,
yeah,
we're gonna show off a little bit." Okay.
big time. And then at the beginning, everything was great, right? We were getting budget, we were being sent to events. I started to get like to do all the interviews with top players, have relationships that I already had with these players, but I could do it in person where I wasn't being hired for events. I was still able to do the content. I got us deals to commentate like big time events on our channel. Like at one point, I was up at like 6 a.m. in the office commentating Australian CS. We even ran our own Australian event. I basically as a solo person, there was a team of people like doing graphics and all that stuff, and Petty was managing it all. But in terms of like getting the interviews, getting the prep done, I did everything. Like I was just the solo man for getting content. If you look at their YouTube now, some of the video views and stuff they get on it, it was popping off on Reddit. We were killing it. Like it was amazing. And then Tom started like coming up with these ideas saying he's going to get this money, get this thing, this was going to happen. And it was all just like one after another. Lie to every staff member. Now, weirdly, and I don't know if it's German culture or how it works in an office, but a lot of the people he had, very talented people. Some of them have gone to work for like G2. One guy works for Stark now, and they're amazingly skilled video editors, graphic designers and stuff. These guys basically would not really go against their boss. And I don't know if that's a German culture thing, but it was like, what the boss says we do, just follow the order. Well, I
Yeah.
come from an open world of where like, well, if your idea is shit, I'm going to tell you not this. I'm going to go, oh, your idea is shit. I'm going to say, actually, no, it should be done this way. I understand how business works. I understand how to talk to people. He would just not take anything that was like slightly criticism, but then he'd still try to play the nice card. So at one point, and this is where it got really mental, his way of punishing me was trying to tell people in the company that he was going to fire me. Now, obviously, I'm a nice guy and everyone liked me. Now, you may not think that from what you hear or see on this video, people, but like I'm just honest and open and on myself. So these people are telling me like, oh, he's going to fire you. And so I went to the Americans and was like, why is this guy saying he's going to fire me? He's like, oh, we know nothing about this. And I'm like, so I spoke to him and he's like, oh, I'd never say anything like that. And it was just all this snaky stuff. And basically he was not happy because obviously I was coming up with things that maybe were going against what he had in mind. But once you've been lied to about these ideas and these events and these things you're going to be doing multiple times, why on earth, right, would you think that this is going to be working? Like people are going to still believe in you. So at one point, we planned maybe 4 or 5 different projects, full planning, the whole works. And he'd be like, oh, no, now the money's not coming. Oh, America said no. And he'd always blame the Americans. So eventually I just started going to the Americans and was like, we had a Slack channel, right? I don't know if you've used Slack before. And I was talking to him there. And he was like, oh, now you're going behind my back. Now you're like talking to him. Because obviously they were coming to him and saying, what's going on here? And basically he was doing some mad shit with the money where like he was juggling it or putting it somewhere else. Or I don't know what he was doing. It was just like, it was so awful, right? I don't have any personal information on how it went down. I'm giving my opinion on what happened on this. I can only talk about honestly my side of things. And on my side of things, he basically then tried to penalize me where like I said that, well, okay, we need to start doing this, this, and this. And then we lost my co-commentator twice. First co-commentator actually fell ill, very unlucky, just unfortunate German guy, ex-pro, awesome guy to work with. The next guy I had was Hudge G, another ex-pro from the UK, moved him over and his wife and everything, and it was looking good. But he couldn't handle the whole situation living in Germany, so he wanted to go back home, which fair enough. That's sometimes not for everyone. And then I even went through the process of like trialing out random people and letting them try and have an opportunity to commentate and see if this could work and things. But basically, this guy had lied about so much, promised so much. Like at one point, they even cut my health insurance. And as a diabetic, I need my company health insurance because in the UK it's free, but in Germany you have to pay for it. And then he told me health insurance is free and covered by them, but I still had to pay more money. And then at another point, they stopped paying my tax. So when I tried to leave Germany in the end, like my tax money wasn't fully paid off, so I had to pay even more money. They left me in Germany. My ex-girlfriend was obviously very unhappy with all of this. So she, and this is the whole another thing of just relationship stuff, but like she basically decided, well, this is enough. I'm getting fucked. This thing's not working. I'm trying to make it work. I'm trying to fight it in a smart way because I still believe that this project could work if we just remove this Tom Lemke guy. By the way, he's still in esports, but only in German esports because I just won't allow him any. Like I even tell events I work now, that like if he tries to get on, like he tried to get on by, I work for this company or I work with these guys. I just said no. Like he tried to come to the StarLadder Major, and I made sure StarLadder just had his name banned from any access list, so he just could not get in. And that's in his home city of Berlin. Like I don't want to be near that guy. He's a scumbag. He should not be in the scene at all. And he just lies throughout his teeth and tries to live this like big lifestyle. Like he once said he was the owner of Mouse Sports or some shit. I actually met the real owner of Mouse Sports, and he was like, no, this guy never owned it. He was involved for a little while, but he never had any ownership or anything like that. So it's just like a compulsive liar, like a horrible businessman. But basically the package deal at the end was if things didn't work out, because obviously I took a big risk, moved my whole family over, that I would be paid the moving cost money back to leave. But what they did is they withheld my final month's salary. And so I had no money, no income other than doing online stuff. And shout out to ESL, by the way, because ESL gave me so much online commentary work when I couldn't do anything else that it was literally all I had to survive and support my entire family while UNIRKN fucked me. I was burning through savings and trying to pay off all the stuff. I had a very good salary at UNIRKN. That's one thing I would say was very good. But it's just how they managed it all, how they fucked me. And then even in terms of like, so my son was due to have a heart operation for his heart murmur he had. And when they cancelled the insurance, that was gone. So and this is where my bad side came in. I flew off the handles, right? I literally lost it and went in on this guy. Probably at one point it went through my mind of, I will pay someone from back where I'm from to fly into Berlin, kill this guy, and then fly back out the same day. Like,
Christ.
you don't fuck with my family. Like, that's the end of. Now that's very dumb. That's very childish, and definitely not something I would do now. But I was at my end of my tether. My then girlfriend literally just took my son when I was working away at another event and left, and she left me while I was working away because she saw I was getting so unhappy and depressed with all this, trying to fight it, because I still believed I could win. I was like, well, I'm right. I've not done anything wrong. So when I then tried to leave Germany, they did not leave the money that they were supposed to leave. So like, I had no money to get back home. I had to then grind out money myself. Then the German government, this is what's really fucked. When you try to sign on as like you're now unemployed, they'll pay you a percentage of your salary so you can get basic stuff done. But they will not talk to you in English. It's literally, they'll provide translators for other languages like Korean, Turkish, other things. But the guy told me, and this guy, I can't name him, but he's a legendary guy, because he turned around and said, if I get caught talking to you in English, I will lose my job. I'm like, can I have a translator? Then he's like, you'd have to provide and buy your own. I'm like, but why? No one else has to. And this is just a weird situation. So luckily, some of the guys that worked for UNIRKN are still cool with me. They came to these meetings and stuff and helped me get all the paperwork done, but it took a long time. So there was times where I was like, couldn't pay rent. I couldn't even buy food. Like, I'm literally just trying to grind out the stream. There's a guy, Louis, on my channel, and he donated, like, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of pounds of money just to even keep me going. He subbed, like, gifted over 200 subs. Just an absolute, like, without him, I promise you I would not have been able to keep my house. I would have just been completely fucked with no way to get home or anything like that. And coming from, I don't have a wealthy family, there was no way to get out of either. So it was trying to dig myself out of this hole that Tom Lemke has caused. Then when I went to the Americans and said, okay, I want to take this further, like, we should look into this. Basically, they said there's nothing they can do because they're the American side and I'm signed to the German side. And so I didn't have money to fight in German court. They wouldn't even screw him over. Anyway, once all this went down, I went semi-public with it, that obviously I'd left and the bad shit had happened. Some of the best pro players in the world with hundreds of thousands of followers, like Fallen, Get Right, like big CSGO names, retweeted it, pushed out my work out there. I was getting a bit of more work coming in. But then it came to the point where this guy tried to, once again, worm his way out of things and just lie some more. But now, if you notice, I've called him out multiple times. I called him out on a live stream back in Malta. I was on the foreign podcast where I didn't go into as much detail as I have with you, but I covered over it briefly. And now I'm doing this as well. And he's never come forward to try and fight against any of this because he can't. I've got emails, I've got proof, I've seen everything that they've tried to fuck me on. They still owe me 10,000 euros minimum in terms of what I had to move, and I had to work all of that out myself. I then had to leave Germany on my own, and because my girlfriend took my son and just left without telling me or anything, in Germany you have to register to live there. So I could deregister myself, but then I had to get them deregistered without them being there, which was incredibly difficult. I got absolutely like reamed out from every side possible. And I have no, like, I didn't feel like I was falling back into depression, but it was like this, like, really, like, whoa, I didn't know what I was doing And I was heavily back on smoking weed again because I just needed to, like, every night just kill my mind because there was all these horrible thoughts going out. Then at one point, my ex came back, dropped my son off, and then left in the middle of the night and left me with him for 2 weeks on my own while I'm trying to earn money, while I can't even provide food. And so, like, I'm, like, looking after a kid, trying to be the best dad possible. Literally, I remember I was doing 2 injections out of the 4 a day, so I didn't have to eat so much. Not good for your body at all as a diabetic. And then making sure I can feed my son and look after him while working all the online events at ESL and luckily getting money in through the door. And it was just all because of this absolute arsehole, all his lies, and just a scummy way of doing business. So if anyone sees Tom Lemke, anyone has to deal with him, just avoid him like the plague. He is a scammer. He's a cheat. He's a liar. He is one of the people in esports that should never see the light of day again. And anyone in esports already knows that anyway, but it's definitely a recommendation to anyone young that might be coming in and gets a crazy offer from a man with a hell of a lot of problems. The only good thing that I did find out from people who still work there now is that he had a son of his own, or a kid of his own of some sort. And his thing was that he would never have to be traveling with the work again. Well, once all this stuff started to go public, Rahul, the CEO of UNIRKN, he demoted Tom to a position where he has to travel loads and basically doesn't have as much power. So he had to make that choice or leave the company. He might have left UNIRKN by now. I've got no idea. But he definitely got fucked like that. Imagine like karma getting you in that way, that your wife has a kid and you're not supposed to be traveling, and then you have to travel like pretty much all of the months of the year. Unlucky. Don't be a cunt. and then maybe you won't get fucked over like that yourself, because he deserves a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say that I would feel bad for his kid though, because while he might
Yeah,
deserve
definitely
it,
for his kid.
yeah,
Yeah, of course, and for his
uh,
wife. His wife didn't
yeah,
do any of this stuff, but sometimes karma has a funny way of working things out.
that's fair. So, God, you have so many stories that I love to hear. So another one I wanted to ask you about. Um,
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna say this right now. I'm sorry that you've gotten fucked so many times in the public. Because I swear to God, you might hold the record of the most times fucked by different, like, it's actually insane how many stories are. So one of the ones I wanted to ask you about is you briefly had a stint with fighting games that I know about.
Oh
And there was a
yes.
huge
Oh.
story there where, again, you kind of got fucked. What is the actual story? Because I've only read like reports that have come out of it. What happened from your perspective?
So let's say, right, if I wasn't from where I'm from, like we spoke about in the earlier part of
Yeah.
this episode, I wouldn't keep bouncing back like this. If I wasn't a legit person who doesn't have all these nasty things that we want to try and make or do to me, I wouldn't be able to keep coming back, right? I definitely just wouldn't be here anymore. The fact that I have people like Foreign, Richard Lewis, Sir Scoots, like credible people in our industry who will vouch for me and for always support me, because they know that, like, although I've done some dumb shit, like during my depression, I even Jackie, Snods, Lol Bainlaw, who does the stuff with Richard Lewis. We all did an event together, and I was an egotistical arsehole. I was really up my own arse. It was when I was going through the UNIRKN shit. Me and Jackie have spoke even recently, and he didn't know what I was going through and stuff, with losing my girlfriend and obviously losing my son. And I'm happy now that I've basically said everything I've done bad, everything that I've done wrong is out in the open. So you can't fuck with me anymore. I'm now, before I used to, and this is what we didn't touch on actually, is that I used to basically go to these events and try and fit in with those guys of being, I'm nice, I'm a normal person, like my life's not so bad. And I was trying to be someone I'm not. And that also didn't help with my depression, because I was basically like almost a bipolar without being bipolar, you know, like I was trying to be the type of person I thought they might want me to be, but then I wasn't being myself, which then made me like less fun to be around. Like I basically have now learned in the last 2 years, which is why I've seen so much more success as an interviewer, a host, a commentator, is because I'm me. I may not fit in with people. Like sometimes in the green rooms we have events, and I'm playing Pokemon on my Switch, like before we start work or after we working, and they're all, maybe they want to go and have a few drinks or go to a restaurant. I don't have as much in common with a lot of these guys. I don't come from a similar background to them. Some of the guys like Hugo and Harry, for example, they love to game still and play loads. They're young. We can spend a hell of a lot more time together. Like I'm just being me. Like I'm going to the gym. I'm not hiding anything. And I feel so good in the sense that no one can touch me for being me. Like I've said all of my bad shit out in the
Yeah.
open. Like I am no longer able to be treated like a victim. And like I was commentating with Henry G, like him and Richard first started, and then it was me and him. Like I brought him into Gfinity, and obviously he's like commentator of the year for last year, one of the best commentators in the world, an incredibly nice and cool guy. He's still a guy on WhatsApp who will call me out on shit if I'm going the wrong way with it or whatever. He's someone I can rely on. He's a good friend. Sponge is incredibly helpful, very wise. Even though we're close in age, he's 30 and I'm going to be 30 this year as well. Like he's very wise and understanding of the world. He comes from a different environment I do, that he can explain things to me in a way that often helps me. But like
Yeah.
these kind of people before would have not liked who I was. Now I'm being myself. I'm finally more accepted. Like I did an event with Pansy recently for PUBG, and even she can see like, oh, you're killing it so much better now. And it's just because I'm being me. Like I no longer have to be fake. I no longer have to be someone I'm not. And it's so wild. But with the fighting game stuff, like I've loved fighting games. I competed and won a silver medal for Virtual Fighter 5, right? Like that's an achievement when you're not like a Japanese player or anything like that playing. Like an Asian people are very good at playing fighting games. It's no joke that they're up there right on the top boards across most of the games. I competed, did my time, but these guys in the fighting game scene saw me as Mr. Counter Strike, Mr. Esports. Now the problem with the fighting games community, and it's not everyone, but they want the money, they want to see the events and stuff, but they want to keep it all grassroots. Well, somehow the grassroots stuff obviously doesn't make all that money. You need to diversify a bit. At the time, Capcom hired me because they wanted to add something to their shows. They'd never had a host before. And they tried it in Europe, and I had a great production team behind me in Mark Denton and Richard Denton pushing me the whole way with it. Two guys who work for one of the biggest companies now, and they're in their own company doing all this kind of stuff within the fighting game community. So a big shout out to them. And they basically were like, cool, we'll take a chance on you. We like what you got to offer. So not only did I help them with business development and going in the right direction using my experience from other esports events, bear in mind, I'm no producer. I'm just using my experience from elsewhere and bringing it to these guys. And they said, cool, well, we'll add the host role in. This will help Capcom. They can sell this as like an extra product on it because they'd never had a desk. And we had desks, we had fun. And for some reason, they didn't like me because I was esports. They basically thought that they could do my job as a host, even though they'd never done it. They didn't even know how it worked when I'd literally built it from the ground up. The interviews, even the people in chat, the community were like, oh my God, these interviews, it's great. We're getting players onto a desk. We're having fun. Because remember, it's a 1v1 game. So you've got so much fluctuation in players. It's amazing for me who loves to do this kind of stuff. Like, there's so much freedom with it. And also, they're raw as hell. They come from the same kind of background as me, some of these kids. They're coming from the hoods and stuff. They don't have PCs. They're playing consoles. Now, obviously, not everyone is coming from hoods. Some of them, like Shax, as an example, just graduated from university. Incredible player, really smart guy. But you get a lot of this more like, kind of this inner culture that I'm also very like with. And I even ran, this is what's wild, before I did this, before I got hired by Capcom, for Zowie Gear, who I used to work for, I did 4 events with more prize money than any of their events have within the UK. Like huge money, like £1,200 for a 1v1 game of just UK players. People were traveling from Spain, France to come play in this fucking event. And I ran it for 4 weeks. I even hired the commentators and stuff, right? Paid them money, more money than they were getting elsewhere. Because I was paying them real esports money, not the fighting game community money.
Yeah.
And even the people that were shitting on me, they were turning up to that event to compete because they wanted a piece of it. I even got the event to have setups where we'd have the stream, then we'd have setups people can practice on, and setups we can have off-stream games. And we kept the event open until midnight so they could play as much as possible. Like, I did everything. And I budgeted it. I produced it. I brought my own team of people in. I was hosting, so I just did the interviews. Everyone else had commentators do their thing. And they still basically said that he's not one of us. He's Mr. Esports. He thinks he's a big shot. And so they stupidly created a WhatsApp group where obviously that can be screenshotted. So someone in their WhatsApp group obviously did like me and wanted to screenshot it and mess with them. And they decided to say that they were going to try sabotage me on broadcast by asking me questions I couldn't answer. But their dumbasses didn't really understand that I know their game as well. And also, I'm not afraid. Like, I just did Dota. I just did a Dota event for a charity event here in Ukraine. All about, we raised $187,000 for this coronavirus charities. And I will happily go on a broadcast and say, I don't know everything. So I will lean on my analysts. I'll ask them the right questions. Because you know what? There's people in chat that don't know shit either. So they're learning. It works both ways.
I've always felt, and correct me if I'm wrong, a good job of a host or an interviewer isn't necessarily to know the game, but know how to ask the right questions to get to the answers.
For a host, definitely. For an interviewer, I think you should have more knowledge because you need to also pull out a bit for the people who don't know.
Yeah.
So a good interviewer to me, like we have loads of interviewers in esports at the moment who just jump game, do so many games, and they're asking all the wrong questions, or they make it about themselves, and that shit really pisses me off. Like, they try to meme too much, and it's like, you're not there to be on camera. For me, I don't even care if I'm doing interviews on camera.
Yeah.
It should just be a hand on a microphone. But too many of these people want to be on camera and make it all about themselves. Interviews should be purely asking questions that direct the conversation for the desk. You're helping out the desk, you're helping out the analyst, but also giving the players a chance to say what they want to say because the focus is on them. They're the fucking pros. They're the legends, not us. I don't give a damn about me. Like, it's all about them. And so give them a chance to tell knowledge to players of all levels, right? And the desk can do the breaking down. That's why the host part of not knowing stuff is so important on that side. That's just my personal opinion anyway. But obviously we see broadcast, we just get the, how are you doing? Oh, let's have some fun here. And let's do a dance or some stupid shit. Let's make a meme out. It's like, why am I watching this? Like, what are we doing? What this isn't content. Do you see that in racing? Do you see like some girl stood there and she's like, guys, let's have some fun. Like, do you think I'm pretty? Like, what the fuck? No one's gonna be saying that shit. It's got to be about the game. But yeah, the morons that were in this fighting game community. By the way, one of them I had to work shows with afterwards. We made up, we spoke about it. But there was just a lot of people who were just utter cunts in it. One guy, Logan, he's kind of matured a bit now. He's also had a rough spot, like he was fired from the BBC for again comments and stuff he'd done or not done, and however it was taken. He had a lot of learning to do because I was not going to let this slide. I definitely wasn't going to let this affect. So they basically planned to ask me stuff that was really in depth that I'd never be able to answer, and purposely sabotage me. That was their goal, and they were all making a conspiracy against me on this. And I got the screenshot sent to me, and obviously I'm not going to say who's given to me, but it was a very smart guy. And I said, "Cool, all right, I know what to do this. Richard, there you go, mate. Have this. Let's see what we can make happen here, because I'm not going to stand for this." And obviously all their names are in it. This is how dumb they are. It's like, if you lads, you should probably do this over a phone call, where it can't be recorded. Like, it would kind of be smarter, wouldn't it?
Well.
So they really fucked themselves. But then Capcom, obviously, the commentators are obviously more valuable than an interviewer and host. And obviously then there was some disruption with it. So I did my last few events for Capcom. Then at the end of the year, despite it getting more views than what the American Men's About host did in terms of like the interviews, them segments, keeping the uptime of the stream less on adverts. So they still did their adverts for their sponsors, but it was less downtime. There was more initiatives. Everything was positive. But Capcom, sadly, they don't quite understand what they want to do, if they want to make it more for esports and make more money and try and give more back to the players, or if they just want to appease all the fans that don't like esports. But end of the day, they played themselves on that one. I brought something new to the table, and I worked my ass off, as always, into it. I remember building a stage. By the way, I should never be building stages, right? Especially when the event was in 4 hours. We were building a stage till 4 a.m. I had to be back up at 8 a.m. while the other commentators were just in bed enjoying themselves. But guess what? Because I was making sure shit was going to work for this, I took a hands-on approach with everything. I worked my ass off. I was playing their game. And then they thought, so I bought a fight stick because I used to play fighting games. I'm not allowed to buy a fight stick, clearly. And okay, yes, I had a bit more money. So I paid $10 to put my name on the fight stick, right? Such a cunt, aren't I? And they were like, doesn't he think he's so cool putting his fight stick on Twitter? And what they didn't like was I had more fans than them on social media. People in chat were talking about me and they weren't talking about them.
Yeah.
Or maybe they should have reinvented themselves. And like there's one guy on there, Tyrant, who me and him more get on a bit now, but he's just one of those people who is like a follower. Like he's never going to be a leader. He's always going to be a sheep. And he got dragged into this, and that really let me down because I thought he was one of the good ones, and he allowed himself to be jumped into that because he just wanted to like, I don't know, be buddy pow and not be out of the inclusion of it all. And yet he's the first one who would need to lean on me for advice or help in it. And he's older than me, and he's what's he doing with his life? Like he's not getting anywhere. He could technically be making more money if this stuff had paid off. We were going to sell the desk. We were going to sell these segments, right, to sponsors to add more money to put to the prize pool, to the players, to pay the commentators better money than what they've ever had before. And then this is where it got really dumb, is that they then turn around like, we can do it ourselves. Well, guess what? They've never done it because they can't, because they literally don't understand how it works. They wouldn't be able to do it professionally enough. Like I was giving them call times, they'd never have call times. They were just turning up late sometimes. Like it was an absolute
that seems very
joke.
basic. That seems very, very basic.
And then when I would say to them, like, you're needed now, you're supposed to be here at this time, they'd go, oh yeah, well, I was playing some games. Like, you have a job to do. Are you being paid? Like, but yeah, I would happily go back to FTC stuff because I know the players who do like me, and I know the community really likes me. There's loads of them still follow me on Twitter. They jump in streams just to see me do some random games every now and again and say hi. But I know that it's their misunderstanding of it. And the problem is it doesn't even start with like Capcom. There's even tournament organizers. There's a guy called Rick who is such a good tournament organizer, like super smart, does some of the biggest events out in America, works with Bandai and everything. And we did one at a Tekken event, and his biggest issue was like, it's going to take time. It's not going to be done to the level I want it to be done. And yet some of the most basic stuff they do was not done to the level that should be it at. And his problem, again, is he's in this old mentality. He's not looking at the bigger picture. And he's one of the leaders of this shit. So until it changes from there, they're always going to fall flat on their ass because they're not going to get what they want. And this is where I think they're so stupid, because he is a very intelligent man. He works so hard. He even works at Twitch, by the way, fully for their fighting games.
Yeah.
And just because I'm more of an outsider, even though I've won more tournaments, by the way, than any of those commentators, I've competed in Virtual Fighter 5, and I have more respect on my name for playing their type of games than they have. So clearly I am just an outsider. Because I come from esports that they don't like, they decided that, no, you're not going to be able to get away with this. And yet, guess what? I could have bought more money. Not for myself, I could have bought it for your community. I could have bought you more success. I literally bought and made my own events and series. And just because you think that you don't like to have someone do some interviews, by the way, I even dressed down for them. I didn't wear my normal shirt and suit. I did on the first broadcast. They were all just in t-shirts and things. So I went and actually bought Street Fighter merch. Capcom didn't give me that shit. No one gave me it. I went and bought it so I'd fit in. I'd look the part on things. I'd have it in their style. I went an extra level on everything. And this is all I can say. And that's why I was so disappointed with Rick as an example. His name is the Hado on Twitter. Is you are a guy who is a leader, and he is an actual leader. He's also a smart guy, but he's so dumb in some ways with the fact that he was so against interviews being done at this Tekken event. Yet everyone that saw the interviews, every member, the players, the sponsors, the organizers who are paying their players to go to the event, right, are happy because they're getting more screen time. It's all being done properly. But because it's not the limelight maybe on them or not done in their way, or it's too esports, they're so against it. So if you're going to be a dumb fuck, be a dumb fuck, but don't fuck up your own game on that principle. Integrity is everything. And sadly, these guys have too much of this personal attachment to it.
Yeah. So kind of looking at like nowadays, do you think that it's gotten better, or it is getting better, or do you still see the same shit happening each day?
Do you mean in the FGC stuff or just in general?
In general, with the community, where it's still a bunch of people who are getting hammered down, and still a bunch of people who aren't being willing to be open to new ideas, new experiences, new people, maybe holding people down because they're younger or more experienced or less experienced, even though they might have good ideas.
Yeah, I still think some of that goes down. The beautiful thing you have is that you can be an unknown, small-time no-namer. For example, Dinko a few years ago, no one knew of, and you get one opportunity to do some big online casts, whatever, by even just doing it on your own channel on a free GoTV IP. If you're good enough, you can still be seen because the community itself are good at doing that. For an example of Frankie, right? She rose quicker than any interviewer host I've seen in history, right? Now, she has a lot of natural talent and raw ability on camera and on screen, but she herself knows that her in-game knowledge isn't there. So she's even playing and streaming CSGO to try and get the job done. That's fantastic. The only criticism I have of her is that sometimes she's maybe putting the focus a little bit too much on her, which is obviously something I don't like. And then the only other bit is that when she's actually getting people give her, like, I'm afraid to reply to her on Twitter sometimes and give her advice about CS because I've seen how she responds to some of the people. Now, admittedly, people come in my chat and give me advice, and some of them are just really dumb, right? I get it. It's probably very annoying, but like some advice is very legit, and she'll always shut them down or like talk to them like, be a little bit nicer, like just a little bit for me, please. Like, I'd really appreciate it. Like, I saw a comment the other day on one of her videos. It was about the height she was aiming at, and he was 100% right. It's completely correct. And she was just like, nope, I'm not going to take advice, not having backseat gamers. And I'm just like, you've got to know when sometimes it is fine and when sometimes it's not. But like I've told her to her face many times, she's risen faster than anyone else I've seen in esports. And I think once she's playing more CS, she even ranked up recently to another. Maybe she's gold now. She's gone out of silver to gold potentially, but she's grinding, she's trying, she's playing, and that I respect the hustle 100%. But just like for me, I'm critical on anyone when it comes to our game because I feel like anyone can jump in. And I also don't think being a male or female has any negativity in this anymore either. Like that whole story that it's harder for females in esports to get involved definitely was a thing of old, but I don't think so much now. Yes, you have to have probably a stronger backbone than a lot of us guys because you get all these people sat in chat saying, oh, you're so fit. Oh, I want to have sex with you. Ha, ha, ha. It's like, oh, boys. But you got to remember, our audience is very young. They do some dumb shit and they can't be held accountable for it at the moment. So you got to have a strong personality to be able to handle it at the same time.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's very much possible. It's just everyone is like in a position at the moment where we're getting less people hold the throne, as an example. Like Red Eye was the one blocking people from before, right, and stopping them coming in. He also let a lot of people do come in, but based on how he feels or what he wants. ESL is the perfect example of giving so many people great opportunities. Blast as well gave Scrawny and Launders opportunities to do grand finals over Anders and Moses. Finally, we're fucking splitting this up. Anders and Moses don't care either. They're happy to see more people get opportunities. But I didn't work a single Blast event in my life at all last year since they came around. And then I got to do the Blast London event. And like London, hometown, everything like that was brilliant. Had a fantastic time. Hopefully they'll hire me for more. But like there is plenty of opportunities out there. The problem is, it's just a lot of people are like, oh, I love CSGO, I want to go for that. sometimes you've got to actually look at yourself and think, like, for me, I only do games, despite the amount of games I do, that I'm passionate about. Sometimes people have to look at it and think, okay, that's a very stacked pool. Because I can tell you now, if you're an up-and-coming commentator in CSGO, unless you are lights out amazing beyond anything we've ever heard before, there's about 15 other people that I can mention, name here right now, that have got the skills to be doing events at the top level.
Yeah.
And look how long it's taken me to get to tier 1 level of doing these big events, right? And I fucking hate that term because that should just be used for the teams, not for us as talent. It's taken me so long to get through because Stunner went to do the host role. Alex came off from being... So Alex Machine, in my eyes, is the best host in all of esports. He's gone to do commentary now with Henry. Stunner moved into the host role. Now I get some of the interview roles split with Frankie. And admittedly, it's like one of those things where you're just kind of a waiting game, a knock-on effect, right? Because I've been here in CS since the very beginning. Like I said, I made a lot of mistakes at the beginning, and I definitely didn't deserve the shit that Redo put me through. And then I kind of obviously went through my own stuff that I had to deal with. But I stayed here and I waited for my time. Like, some moron came in my Twitch chat yesterday because I banned him from some Twitch channel that we were working on. And he was like, you only get the scraps. It's like, bro, I worked a major. I'm also pretty much getting hired for a lot of events these days. And people are kind of in this mode where they're like, they only want a select number of talent. You see any talent announcement with like me on, or Frankie on, or Hugo on, Harry on, Scrawny Launders, there'll be people criticizing. It's not even because they're bad, because these people don't actually know what to judge the actual talent on. It is because they're not what people are used to. That's all it is.
No,
So,
I've
like,
had this conversation with
great.
like Anders and Frankie, and like it's actually a fear of a lot of top casters too about like turning away jobs, because if they turn away jobs, then what happens is they look to find new people, and then those people start to get popular, and now you just have less jobs because there's more supply of like tiered talent and there's less demand as far as the need, then yeah, you kind of do lose out in jobs. So it's like a terrifying fear of like, if you turn down a job, will they find someone else that they will just start using from now on?
Exactly. There's definitely that fear with it as well. But I think that's where you have to be diverse and knowledgeable with it, because I think there's another thing, right? There was a point where we had a contract put in front of us, forget whichever tournament organizer it was, but it said something like diversity would be the same weighted in the hiring process as skill and ability. Now that is bullshit. Like, that straight away should never be a thing. Every time it comes to someone being picked for a role, it should be the best talent, not social media numbers, not like how popular they are, how loved they are. If they are the best at their job, like, you're not going to go to a doctor and say, I don't want that doctor because he's black. I don't want that doctor because she's a woman. I want, if I'm dying or I got something wrong with me, I need an operation, I want the best, please. Like, if I can have the best, I'll take the best. And to me, that's how it should be. But what I do think is the perfect thing of B streams and online events and all this other stuff we have, the people at the top don't need to touch it. Yeah. Give that to the people that are coming up. Like things like you're doing, like this content that here, this is valuable content to get your name out there. I wouldn't have a fucking clue who you are if you didn't do Anders and have that amazing show. Yeah. Like, it's very hard to get noticed, yes. But once you do get noticed, it's out there. It's possible. And yes, you might need to know a right few people to push people going forward. It needs to be like the community supporting you is a huge thing, but also you need to be realistic of what game you're choosing to go for. Like if you were to tell me right now you want to go and interview for Call of Duty, I can again name a bunch of interviewers that can already be doing it, who've got tons of time in the game and huge following and within that community. But like Rainbow Six, for example, I don't know why more people are not jumping on that game. For me, I really like the game. I like playing the game.
It's a fun. I actually just had Intero. I did an episode with him 3 weeks ago.
I like it. Me and him have got some good stories. We had some fun together.
Intero's a good dude, and that was one of the things that so I've always had an interesting perspective on this, is that at least for me starting out, I'm pretty much willing to take any job because I know that I'm going to have fun doing almost any game starting out, because it's going to be all these new skills that I'm going to be learning. Right. Yeah. So I feel like no matter what the game is, I will probably enjoy it. So I don't really have like this idea of being like really picky has never really made a lot of sense to me, because it's like, well, no matter which game, like if I was doing Farmville and doing interview stuff with like I feel like I would enjoy it for a while because I'd be learning new skills. I'd be learning how to deal with broadcast. And then after I get those skills, I can look at like, okay, well, maybe I'll be slightly more selective and try to find other games that I'm like maybe more passionate about. And I feel like that's probably the better approach to take than let's pick CSGO and try to make it.
And I think you can be super passionate about a game. I still believe you should be passionate about the game that you do end up working on in any capacity,
Yep.
because I don't think you do a good enough job if you're not passionate. We've seen it many times. An interviewer gets picked and they're from a different game. They're like, oh, I can go do this. And it's like, well, we can tell you don't really enjoy this. Natural excitement cannot be faked. And then when you do fake it, you get called out on it. It gets seen. It's very obvious. So I always live by the rule. You must have a love or genuine passion for the game. You must want to follow it in some way. But I think in some ways that, like, even when you're just starting out, it doesn't have to be the most popular game. Like,
Yeah.
it can be a niche game. You might jump on Apex Legends because it's brand new and just come out, as an example, right?
Yeah.
But if you really love that game, and you'll start making content on the side for yourself, you'll make some interviews with players, or you'll reach out and create some stuff, and that's generally a good way to be seen. And you go, oh, but no one's paying me for it. Well, if that's what you think, then you're going to be waiting a long fucking time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So is there any other systematic issues in esports that you kind of see? I know that I had Monty on recently, and one of the things he actually mentioned was hiring. He feels like, especially on like the higher tier, upper level management type of hiring is what he was mostly talking about, like positions about like running esports franchises specifically, I think is what he kind of mentioned. Is it doesn't feel like they hire people from the scene, they hire outside more so. Do you think that there's any systematic issues within the esports scene itself that we need to be focusing on?
I agree with him that you shouldn't hire people outside of it. Like, we have enough people. We don't need TV people. We don't need, like, I'm not saying TV people can't come in. There might be someone who's really passionate about it. Sure, great. But I mean, there's enough talent here already that you don't just need to go and pick a random person who's just like, they were famous for being on this NBA show one time, so let's put them on, I don't know, League of Legends. No, let's not. It doesn't work like that. Like, come from within. That's what esports, if even just games, right, in players and successful esports games, were not made by the developer other than League of Legends, and that took a long time to get where it is now. Every game that you look at the top esports came from being a game that became an esport by chance because the community wanted it to, right? Community driven is the esports way, and that's what resonates with the viewers. That's what they enjoy. That's what they like seeing, and that should be the way it stays the whole time. In terms of hiring processes and things, I think generally now, like, yeah, okay, there could be slightly better hiring processes. Yes, some people won't hire you because you're maybe like directly employed by Faceit. As we give Bardolph, for example, it's very unlikely that certain tournament organizers are going to hire him. Yeah, I get that, but that's he's getting a full-time job somewhere right there. But I think that the craziest one is that, like, for me, Bardolph was the person hiring people and also talent. That shit should never happen. That shit needs to stop right now. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard. And that's nothing against Bardolph. It's just his position, what he's been given, right, by Faceit. But, like, that's moronic. Why would you give a talent the ability to hire the other talent? That should
Doesn't
never
that
be
happen
a
for League of Legends too, though? Isn't that true with doesn't Quick Shot do most of the?
I have no idea.
Okay, because I thought he
follow
played a role in
the game, but I don't actually like know the inner workings. I only know Shox and Medic as personal friends on top of talent.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I thought he played a role in it. So
that shit should not happen at all, because then again you get the buddy system, the friend system. Like when Red Eye was the hiring talent at ESL and then also hosting pretty much all of their events, that was just wild. That should have never been a thing. The great thing now is Joe Miller was a talent, is no longer a talent, is now the hiring person at ESL, and that's the smartest shit ever, because Red Eye was just, again, picking friends and doing the shit like that would benefit himself and get him into the position he is today without maybe necessarily deserving it, just considering he deserves it because he's the quote-unquote godfather of esports, which he definitely isn't.
So, believe it or not, that's most of my questions for you. We've been here a long time. I had a lot of fun. This is one of my favorite interviews so far. I don't know if you've had fun, but you're already through most of it, so it doesn't fucking matter if you had fun or not. It's too bad, motherfucker.
I wouldn't be able to talk so much.
Right? If there's anything else you want to talk about, that's cool. Otherwise, we'll open it up to chat. We'll get a couple chat questions in here and let them actually ask some things, and then we'll close out the show. So, I mean, is there anything else you wanted to bring up that you thought was something that I might have missed or that you wanted to cover that has never been covered before?
I guess the only bits about my son I've never spoken about openly. If you want to cover that stuff.
Yeah, no, I do. Let's talk about your son. Yeah, 100%. What was it like when your son was first born? Because I imagine that's got to be the most special moment that you have in your life.
Well, so I wish it was. He came 8 weeks early and was put on an incubator and nearly died. Luckily, the amazing Buscott unit in Royal Berkshire Hospital Well, there you go. You can see his emotes being spammed in the chat. That's always a good thing to see. But like, Whittaker, who's in chat right now, he said he was watching my stream doing World of Warcraft. I left the stream on, sent me back in like maybe an hour or so, and then I never came back because my son was being born, and it was 8 weeks early
Jesus.
because I just basically expected it was all to be fine. He went on an incubator. He was tiny, like no bigger than my hand, and there was honestly a huge chance he could die, but he was saved. We made it through. It was really good, and he was the reason I stopped taking my antidepressant medication. Basically, the day he was born, his mum obviously needed a lot of help. She was struggling. He had just come to the world. I just literally had to obviously take time off work. And I turned around and just said, all right, I need to be my complete self. I cannot be relying on any fucking meds or stuff that like slow me down or change my mood at all. I need to be full sharp. And I just went, and every morning I'd hit the gym. So we were really lucky. We had a room because of obviously his situation. We had a dedicated room that was like not just on a wall, it was locked away. And it basically got in the room, her bed, a little bit I could sleep on. It wasn't really it was like almost a sofa bed style thing. And then we'd be able to see him every few hours or whatever and go up and try and do things with him. But obviously it was very different to having like a normal kid in that sense. But I decided I would go to the gym every morning, wake up early before she'd be awake, stop taking my medicine, come back, bring the supplies she needed, what we needed to get for him, keep her well, and fully focus on him. So yeah, that it's supposed to be a memorable experience. It definitely was in many ways, but yeah, it just went absolutely crazy. Just crazy.
Yeah. So at first it must have been incredibly terrifying then.
Yeah.
And you had this terrifying terror. But at the point where, like, I'm sure, do you remember the day where they said, okay, everything's going to be fine now? Do you remember that day?
It was basically they move him from the red ward, which is like the kind of emergency ward where very limited contact and touch. Is when we could actually take him and hold him a bit more and stuff and have him on us. And obviously it was a big relief, but it still wasn't out of the clear yet. So he just went to the second room, then he went to the third room, then he was fully into the room of like normal babies, still in an incubator sorted thing, just to stop him kind of making sure they got tubes in him in case it was needed. But then we started to feed him properly, like by bottle and stuff. And yeah, that was like, okay, we're getting onto some normality. But it was so wild because like you think for your first kid, everything's going to be fine. You can never just expect something like that happening. And I just remember like thinking, shit, it is like my first time and we're going through all this. And I just knew I had to be better than where I was with my antidepressants and everything else. And I just knew something had to change.
Is he your number one priority in your life? Because I can't think of anything else. It's like your son basically always the number one priority.
Yeah, I couldn't give a fuck. I even said I'd drop my career tomorrow and just leave esports completely if it was for him. Like there was no other way. And to his mum, who obviously massively fucked me over and everything, I even offered that to her at one point that like, if you want me to go just take a normal 9-to-5 job, you need me home, whatever, then that's an option. We'll do it because like he is everything to me. He's literally identical to me, like in everything. He sadly didn't take anything from his mum. He just looks like a mini me.
Well, it's a good thing that you're a pretty good looking dude, James, because otherwise, I mean, he'd be fucked. So
he's definitely cuter, that's for sure.
Count your blessings there. I don't know how much you want to get into it, but what's it been like? Because you obviously are not with the your son's mother anymore, and you've been split up for a while. What's it like, kind of raising your son in this this kind of relationship?
Fucking hard. Like so I've been with my current girlfriend since May last year, so nearly a year now. She's Ukrainian. I met her here when I was doing 9 months of PUBG work here in Ukraine for StarLadder, and I was living here because I had 9 months of work, and I was just going back and forth to the UK when I could see my son. Before that point, obviously we'd had nearly 2 years separated with his mum, and she obviously left during the whole Berlin thing when all that shit went down with UNIRKN. Yeah. And just the way she did it, she basically just took my son and didn't tell me anything. Like, I came home from an event and they weren't there. So I remember coming to the house, it was cold because all the heating was off. There was no lights or anything. And I thought like, oh, maybe they're surprising me or something. And then there was just nothing. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, I remember seeing his cot and I remember sleeping in that house, and it was just like, I used to just cry myself to sleep. Because like I was alone in Germany, like actually had no family around me. I even flew my dad out at one point just so I had someone there.
Yeah.
Obviously, with him being older, he was retired, and I used to sometimes sleep in his cot, which obviously I did not fit into. I'm fucking 6'4". Like I just used to sleep in there because it's just to have every day to be like with your son and like to spend that time and just to be able to hold him and play with him and just feel him. And I'm tearing up because it's just so hard to think about. I can talk about it. I'm not a fucking pussy, but like
Tearing
it's
up's okay. That's okay. No one's gonna call you a
I,
pussy for tearing up.
I come from a family where it was very beaten into me that the man needs to be strong and not cry. Even though I don't agree with that, I would never tell my son that now. But that's a whole other thing. But like he was just. I had my boy. He was like my little mini me. We did everything together, and like I just that emptiness was next level. And at the time, obviously, I still wanted to try to save things with his mum, and it just wasn't possible. Um, and basically, like she dropped him off, left him with me for a couple of weeks, and buggered off literally because I thought, well, maybe she's going to try to come fix things. She came back to Berlin. She literally came, dropped the kid off, and disappeared in the middle of the night. And I was like, oh, at least I got him. Like that was positive. Obviously, like I said, I had no money, so I was not eating, and I was trying to
I
keep
have a
myself
question
going.
for you. You
Yeah.
mentioned that you came home and the household was empty. Like, did you know that she had left and taken him with him? Was there any
No.
confirmation? Because like, I would, I'd be very freaked out without like any sort of notice. Like, at least if you're told, hey, listen, we're through. I'm moving back to this. Like, at least you know. But if you don't know,
Yeah.
then doesn't your mind jump to the worst? Like, doesn't it jump to like,
Uh,
well, did something happen? Did they get taken? Like, did you go to the cops? Like, if you didn't know, then
so I phoned her. She didn't pick up. I phoned and phoned and phoned, and I was like, okay. Phoned her mum. Mum didn't pick up. Phoned her dad. Didn't pick up. Phoned her sister. Finally got through, and she was like, oh yeah, Gemma's back in the UK, and I'm like.
okay.
You're saying this so normal. So obviously, I think her sister slipped up and it should have been kept a secret or whatever. And I was like, "Is Harvey with her?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Great. Well, I seem to be the only one about the fucking information here." And then, luckily, like I said, my mum and my stepdad and my dad are absolutely amazing. So like, I was able to talk through it with them. But it was the nights. It was the nights of like,
Yeah.
again, just had to smoke a shit ton of weed because like I remember the first night was like not so bad because I was jet lagged as fuck. I'm like I could just you had to sleep, right, your body's just dying at that point. But I remember the next night I maybe slept like 30 minutes because it was so empty. There was no one next to me in the bed. My son was not there. Like, I can't hear his breathing on the fucking the little breathing monitor things, the voice things. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, how is this my life now? Like everything else was going so well. And then like obviously ignoring the unicorn thing, but in terms of like family and what I
Yeah.
wanted. And so I messaged some guy and I was like, just fucking bring me copious amounts of weed, like just bring me so much. And that was the only way I could like get out of again my own head, but also get to sleep because it was just like smoke until you pass out because this is the only logical explanation for being able to deal with this. But sleeping in the cots was like the worst one. I remember one time sleeping in the bath. Wasn't trying to like kill myself or anything. I just slept in the bath because I was just had thoughts of like playing in the bath when we used to bath together and do that like father son stuff. But it was just so empty and it was so dead and it was just incredible. And then luckily again the stream, fucking hell, like Louis and stuff and Whittaker, everyone was there to talk with me through it. And I honestly like streaming is so important to me because like I can be myself and talk to people, but you actually have there's some cunts to come in, but you just ban them and tell them fuck off. But like people are so
Yeah.
nice and supportive and like and really there comes to hash things out with you.
Has it gotten better since then, or is it still?
Oh mate, so like and towards the end of last year, obviously I told his mum that I'm in another relationship, so just being open and honest. And we've been separated for nearly 2 years. She's even had other boyfriends. She flew off the handles and a way for her to get control over me. Because the thing she was lucky with is that I still paid a sizable amount of money to him because I'm going to support my son. I still pay for their apartment and stuff. And even when she had other relationships, like obviously I don't think the guys are living with her. It's not my business to know. But
Yeah.
I think she still felt maybe she could have what she wanted from me because obviously I'd be there whenever I come home. I'd come pick my son up. I'd come play with him. I'd come by the house. Like I was fine with us being apart, and I wasn't like in a relationship with her, but we were still being amicable. And I was like, well, this is just like how it was when I and my parents split up. So this is great. And then when I got in a relationship, she tried to commit suicide, and she did it when my son was with me. So when I came back to the house, obviously I paid for the apartment, so I had keys, went into the house, and she's just lifeless on the bed. But like Harvey went into the bedroom, climbed on top of her. And, like I'm just like putting his stuff like in the kitchen and things, like putting stuff back away. And he comes over to me and he's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "What?" And he just was like, obviously no idea, and he's like trying. I'm like, whoa! So like, I go and grab my stepdad who's waiting in the car for me. I get him because he knows like CPR and all that kind of shit, and he's trained for his work. So he's trying to get her alive. We're ringing the ambulance. We're trying to keep Harvey busy in the other room, but he obviously wants to see his mum. And then this is where the British government again is just a bunch of fucking useless moronic cunts because they. I told him, I was like, well, I've got work tomorrow in Ukraine, but obviously I can drop all of that and just stay here and whatever. And they were like, well, actually, the best thing for him is just to be with a parent non-stop. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. We can do that. And they're like, but you are free. You're like, so on the birth certificate, we're both equal rights. Like he's got my surname. They're like, you can just take him with you. So like my girlfriend of like just a few months, and I'm sat there telling them like, so I'm bringing my son back to Ukraine. Starladder, by the way, were absolutely amazing. They offered support. That gave us like the people that look after us, the talent managers who would look after him while I commentate and things. Like it was incredible.
Damn.
And for him, he's been on planes, so he loves going on planes. He got on a trip with daddy. It's like we got great pictures and moments from that. So I said to my girlfriend at the moment, and I just said to her like, look, we've only been together a little while. She's also 24 and I'm 29, so she's a fair bit younger. And I said like, you didn't sign up for this shit. Like I got to take my son to Ukraine so I can still earn money. Because remember, I'm self-employed, so if I don't earn money, I'm fucked. I've still got to pay all my bills.
Yeah.
So the government said it's fine. Took him over, and I just remember saying to her like, if you want to leave now, completely get it. We had some fun. Like, I think you're an amazing woman, but like, you don't have to do this. And she just turned around and was like, well, we'll have to just see what happens. Like, I have to try. And I've got pictures of where's my phone? I got pictures of like when they were first they first came to Ukraine, and literally they were just hit it off straight away. Like they were playing on the floor with like her big teddy bear thing, and he was all laughing and playing with her. And then I literally had to go to work, and I was just planning to take her. I don't know if you can see that if that works or not.
Oh yeah.
So this is literally day one that they've even met each other, and then literally there you go. That's the morning after, like they're in the kitchen just like cooking and making stuff.
Put it to the middle a little bit more. There you go. There you go. You're good.
Yeah. So like they're like completely hit it off, and my plan was him to come to work with me, and I was like, there's no way I'm just going to leave him with her. And she was like, no, look, I can do it. I can handle it. And so I went to work for 4 hours just doing PUBG. Came back, and when I came back, he was obviously really happy to see me, but he was just sat watching TV with her. They were eating grapes sat on the sofa, and he had the whole bowl on his lap and just chewing on grapes. And she and him were watching TV, and I was like, "Fucking hell!" Like she's something special. And from there on, we had him for about 3 months. I put him in a really good nursery here. It's costing like $1,500 a month because it's not free in Ukraine compared to UK. But obviously, it needs to be one that spoke English. They taught him cooking, Russian, English. His Russian's better than mine. I speak fuck all of it because I'm super lazy. Maybe in quarantine, I should start doing that. But like, he was so happy. And then the government even had a report on his mum where she said that if she tried to commit suicide again, she would try and take Harvey with her. And even that was not enough for my dumbass government to say that he can stay with me. And I was forced after 3 months to give him back to her. So now I'm going through court and fighting all of this shit at the moment. She still has him. I hardly get to see him. I've seen him basically. I don't get him for more than a day. I don't often, like one time, I basically messaged her. I was doing Blast London. Blast were amazing. They even flew me back a few days early so I could see my son and let me stay in the UK on my flights before going back to Ukraine.
Damn.
So I could see him. And on one of the days, she ignored 3 days worth of messages and then decided to message me and say, if you can pick him up in like 30 minutes, you can have him. If not, he's going to my mum's. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I like jumped in a taxi, spent stupid amounts of money, go pick him up, get him for the day. Like I literally would do anything for him. And like all I've asked from her is just, can we work together? But she won't do it. So we started court proceedings. Everything was going well, but now court is on hold because obviously I've lost about 2 months worth of events. And events obviously pay a day rate, pay good money in esports. And now I don't know when the next events will be, how long Corona will go on. So I have to hold on to my savings. So the court's not like lost the case, but it means everything's on hold, which means she has all the power again. She did,
Yeah.
though, was amazing the other day. We had like a 30-minute FaceTime with him. And that was unexpected. I just hope I can get more from it. But like, I will literally do anything for him. I've given her an amazing life that like she obviously when he was a kid, she wasn't working, of course. But like I was paying their rent even when I didn't have to. I just had to give them money every month. I was paying my money. I was making sure they had a good life and everything was
Yeah.
it was looked after while I was doing my shit. Every time I ever am back in the UK, I take him. I want to have him here in Ukraine when he's on like half term and stuff. And the plan is that me and my girlfriend move to UK eventually anyway. But it's just so fucked at the moment because even if I move back now, there's no guarantee of when I can see him, when I can have him.
Yeah.
I've not even.
Well,
had him
everything in
see
the
both.
UK is shut down too right now, so.
Yes, yeah, Corona doesn't matter anyway on that sense. But I mean, just from before until after, it's like I've never even had him for a night since he's left me in Ukraine. And like at one time, it was all
Jesus.
three of us in one bed and just like little mini family and having fun. And then you just go through all this shit. And it's so fucked. It's so against men. It's not just the UK. I've spoken to many other dads. It's all the same kind of situation. It's just like, oh, it should be with the mum or whatever. It's like if you can literally try to commit suicide and do all that shit, and then say you're even going to potentially kill your son, and you're allowed to do that. It's like, how is this my life? Like, how is this even? And it's just, and this is why people say my life's like a movie. And it's like, I can be a horrible cunt to the people that deserve it, but it's like when it's my family or it's my friends, or if it's just someone random in stream that I can be nice to or something, or I can inspire someone or help them out. I'm gonna call people out on their bullshit, but I'm gonna try and give much back as possible. It's like, when will my fucking bad luck start? Like when am I gonna be out of this shit? And obviously it's been down to my wrong choices, choosing the wrong woman, for example, and things. But like, you never know how that shit's gonna go anyway, and it's just. One day, I hope this shit will stop. One day, I hope like I'll have a point where I can be part of his life. But I have all the screenshots, all the proof, all the emails, all the text messages.
Yeah.
But when he is of age, when he can see it, I can be like, mate, I tried everything to be a part of your life at that point. I tried beyond belief, and obviously, hopefully, he'll be able to see that. But our bond is still very strong, and he's a very happy little boy, and he's really good on computer for a 3-year-old. Like. He's very good at the speed skills. And I always said I'm never going to push him into esports, but like he definitely takes after me with that sense. Like he used to just sit up on my lap and like he'd use the mouse and I'd do the keyboard and stuff on games and things. And it's just like one day I'm really hoping maybe by the end of this year, once all Corona's dealt with, life can be somewhat normal again. And like I would give up anything just to see him and just to have him. And my goal is not even to like fight him in court so his mum never has him.
Yeah.
You can have him. You can literally like, you can even have him full time if you want. I'm going to fight for full time custody because I think me and my current girlfriend will make a better home, stable family, stable life than what she can. But I'd never count her out of his life. And
that's good.
I think both kids need all their parents. And I guess maybe I was naive to think that like I'm going to have the same style with his mom as I did with my parents. But it's just like, oh, it's just
if you're a good parent. This is what I can say is because I lived with my mom, and my mom wasn't a very good parent. And I later on moved in with my dad when I was 16. So I switched custody. And the second time was just as bad of a custody battle for me as the sixth when I was 6. Like I remember both pretty badly because she fought for both. Yeah. But my dad
was it not
being
your choice at 16, by the way? Because in the UK, you can make the choice at 16. Like my friend,
kind of.
His daughter came to live with him.
It's highly valued. But if you have money, you can still fight it. It was like it has to go to court because it's legal, but it doesn't mean that she would win. So she could keep throwing money at it, and she had a lot of money to throw at it, so she did. But like ultimately, I was to the point at that age where I literally said, I will literally put sugar in your gas tanks, and I will hitchhike away from you. Like that was like the extreme that I was at. I was like, you can do this, but I'm letting you know that the more you keep fighting this, you will just be damaging our relationship because I've made up my mind. And that's what happened. I don't talk to her very often now because of that. And that's something that as long as you're a good dad, okay, the timing, I don't think it matters as much as people think. And there's going to come a point where he's going to be like, listen, if you're a good dad and you're around him, he's like, I want to live with you. And then you can be like, okay, we can do this, and these are the things that are going to happen, but you have to know that there's a chance it might not be easy. Or if he's 16 and the UK doesn't care, then you're good. But
Yeah,
like that, I
exactly.
was really happy my dad didn't try to force that because I think that narrative would have looked very differently if I would have
Definitely.
been like 8 or 9
No,
and he
I'd
would have
always leave it
fought.
up to his choice. I think I'd always
Yeah,
leave it up to his choice on where he
yeah,
wants to be. It's just like on a legal standard, what's better for his safety right now is definitely to be
yeah,
with me or
exactly.
my
Yeah,
girlfriend.
I would say if you're
Um,
if there's a safety thing, you should fight. Like if you're worried about
yeah.
that, then I think that's a very reasonable thing to fight that with.
So
But
let's
that,
hope streamers and
yeah,
the YouTube money keeps coming in.
right? Yeah, guys, keep giving the money to James.
Oh
So,
dear.
but I wish you the best in that. And if you ever you want to talk about that stuff, I'm always willing to. 'Cause just from my experience, I know we've talked before.
Mm.
So with that, now we're gonna open it up to chat with some questions. We had a couple of questions come in
Yeah.
that I've kind of saved, which are
Okay,
always
cool.
exciting. So the first one comes
Great
in.
question. Yeah, what we got?
The first one comes in from Joe. And let me just move this better spot.
You know, I
This
know
is
we've
a
been going a
question for
long time.
later.
We've been pretty soon,
Um,
right?
oh yeah, no worries. But Joe asked, this is a question for later, but does Banks know what happened to the German CS player Troubly?
Troubly. No idea. No idea at all. Let me Wikipedia and see what I can get up on that.
Joe, you
Let me see
should
if
have
I
used Google.
Troubly.
Uh,
Hmm. Fucking hell, yeah, it's been a blast from the past. Jesus Christ. He must have
Joe,
just retired. He's one of them. He's one of them ones, right? That he had a lot of success, especially being an in-game leader in Germany. But I guess when you've got Godby and people like that around you, and Crystal, it's very hard to break through. So maybe he just gave up in the end. I don't know. Maybe one I look forward to do an interview with at some point. That would be a cool one because
there you go.
he's got a bit of history, especially on that Penta roster.
One of the things I wanted to ask you that I just thought of now, as
Yeah.
Chad is cycling in questions, is I've heard that older esports and the CS scene in particular, Coke was kind of a big deal. Is that something you ever struggled with in the scene or saw as being an issue?
Because, like I said, I'm not really in those cliques. Like I
Yeah.
don't hang out in those scenarios. I've never even been offered or had an attempt at it, and like I don't think many of them even knew about my addiction, other than the ones I've spoken to like closely about it. So I've been really lucky in that sense because obviously that could have been in a bad way, especially if they
Yeah.
got me during the times of like trying to fit in. So I'm very lucky that like drug use in general, because when I'm now with these events at the CS events, I'm either with the young guys or I'm in the gym or I'm doing my work. So like I'm not in the social circles of it all. I hang out and we still go to restaurants. Like went to an awesome Korean barbecue place during the major. But like if people want drinks and stuff afterwards, I generally just go gym. So
Okay,
yeah,
that
I'm
makes
very
sense.
lucky.
Okay, so this next question comes in from Berthazarus69. What is your opinion on the Finnish CS player currently suing Valve due to an old account of his being vac-banned? He wasn't the person who owned the account at the time.
But like I credit him for wanting to try and fight Valve on this, but you're going up against an American company as a Finnish young kid trying to prove something from God knows how many years ago on an old account. It's like, fuck me, you got some balls on you, mate. Definitely, like you're really trying. But I can't see this ending well at all for him. Like I understand it's massively affected his career. Maybe he gets some little settlement if Valve really can't be bothered with it. Like they just go, okay, you can be unbanned, or okay, you have some money because like we've stopped you getting hired for teams or whatever. So obviously not
Yeah.
being in majors is a big turn off for teams. I just think like, first of all, he was account sharing. First of all, Valve own everything because it's theirs. Remember, we just hold the right to the games we buy or whatever. Even
Yeah.
then, we don't own the games, do we? So like, maybe he got some really solid legal advice. Maybe there's something he can do, but I'm pretty sure he'll have to fight on American law, and probably not going to go well for him because they always favor companies and corporate.
Oh yeah, that's something I've thought about with Twitch too, right? Where everyone's like, like you could try to sue companies like Twitch or YouTube, but good fucking luck. You're going up against Google and Amazon, and that is not someone I would want to ever fuck
Like,
with.
they must have literally like the best, smartest lawyers. Like these dudes who are just like lawyers by the time they're 12 years old. You know, like I don't
Yeah.
know. It's got to be so wild because I know Simba was banned, but I never remember what he was banned for. I think he just got an ESL ban maybe rather than a vac-ban. But like, if Valve are holding this position, think of this: the iBuyPower people, even though some of them weren't
He
directly.
actually just brought that up. That was the second point he wanted to
Oh,
bring up.
okay, there
Follow
we
up: do
go.
you think the I buy power guy should be forgiven? Has enough time passed?
definitely. I think like no ban should be lifetime, especially when we're dealing with kids on that sense. Like, yes, they did wrong. Yes, they did match fixing, but I can tell you now, back in those days, loads of people were match fixing. Loads of
Yeah.
people were just they were the unlucky motherfuckers that got caught and didn't do it smart, right? But also some of the players on that team weren't even directly involved. They were like just part of the team, and you all got fucked because of it. So yes, they should be unbanned. Like by now, it's been long enough for sure. But like it goes a lot deeper than this. Like look at things like before. I used to bet on matches, right? Just with
Yeah.
skins, not with money. But then Valve sent the letter out, and I was like, cool, not doing that shit anymore. So people make dumb decisions. I'm pretty sure there's probably low tier commentators that still do it. Anyone that's involved in the game should not be in any way betting on the games.
Okay. Oh, this is a good question, and one I've talked about, and I don't actually think it's as big of an issue as people normally say. Bang Bang asks, are performance-enhancing drugs being policed enough within esports?
No, definitely not. Fucking hell. Like, you can look at some players at the moment across multiple games who are on steroids and stuff. Now, that's not going to be performance enhancing, but like, that shit just should not be promoted in our industry. Like,
Yeah.
my God, I like
I,
gym and
I,
stuff like that.
I
Just
don't
to be
know if
rude.
any drug has been shown to be really performance enhancing for esports specifically. Everyone goes to Adderall, but there's kind of yeah, but the big problem with Adderall is it hyper focuses you a lot of times, and that's not good for a lot of games because you actually uh, uh maybe for CS, but the thing is that normally you have to pay attention to other factors too. So like your
Yeah,
call outs
you
and
frag out, right? You just your
yeah,
in-game leader can do everything else for you, and you have the
yeah,
rest of the munchkins sat there on Adderall just fragging out
yeah,
all day, and you've got
yeah.
four Simpsons / Zayus.
One of the things
um,
I learned, yeah, one of the things I learned when I was doing drug courts, this is actually kind of cool, is Adderall is actually very hard, unless they've changed things in the last couple of years, it's actually very hard to catch people on because of the half-life that Adderall has and the way that it kind of diminishes. And so that's hard. Also, Adderall used to be pretty easy to get prescribed. So, I mean,
so ESL, I know because I've obviously worked a lot of their events. They do drug testing, and you often see players pulled off for it. I don't think they're testing all players. I could be wrong.
yeah,
This is just my understanding of it. But I feel like all TOs on a tier 1 level in any game should be drug testing players. Full stop. Like, sure, if they want to
yeah,
smoke weed, that's probably not going to help your game, right? And I very much doubt they're smoking weed before their games or anything like that. But performance enhancing drugs should definitely be looked at in some ways. We're just maybe not on that level where it's possible across the board yet. Obviously, agreements, legalities, and how things come
yeah.
into it. But it definitely needs some more work being done to it.
Yeah. Okay, this next one comes up from the Morkster. Do you think TOs are doing a good job of allowing people to get their foot in the door for esports?
Some yes when they don't mean to. Maybe they have lower budgets and they let newer people try. Some people who just let people have, like, there's been tournaments, right, where it's still run in China where they just put the IP live on GoTV and then you can just stream and play the game, right? You can just commentate away. But I feel like we're in a much better position for it now. Again, it comes back to like what we and you spoke about, Blake, where people can often not choose the right game or be too ambitious.
Yeah.
Like, I see so many commentators. I've been commentating for 4 years. Well, I started when CSGO first came out, and look, I've only just got here in the last couple of years. So you got a long way to go on this ride as more talent comes in. And also, some people are just not good, sadly. Like, not
Yeah.
everyone can be a commentator. You may love it. You may think you sound good and everything's working. But again, if the community like you enough, you will be picked up. Like Scrawny, he got picked up, if I'm right, I could be wrong, but I think it's from he commentated a knife round, right? And put his clip on Reddit, and it made numbers and people discovered him. There you go. It can happen. Like it's just one of those things. Like think of it this way: same as being a player. Everyone wants to be in a Premier League playing football if they like football. But look how many people can actually make it that far. Millions of people try, and yet a team doesn't have that many players, like
Yeah.
you can't let everyone play. Not everyone can live out their dream, and it's the same in anything in life. And I think people just consider esports to be like such a small part where like, oh, I can still make it in. It's like we're actually a lot bigger than maybe you give it credit or think about.
So we got another question coming in. This is interesting because I didn't even think about asking about this earlier today. What are your thoughts on Flashpoint? This comes from Bearthaster69. It feels more relaxed than other events at the moment. Very entertaining. What do you think about Flashpoint?
Love the content. I think the teams, obviously, they can't do anything about that. It's not exactly the best teams. I 100% wish that they could sort a lot of their production issues out, but that lies with more with Face It, who are doing production. I believe it's getting better. I haven't watched any of the games today, obviously, because I've been doing this.
Yeah.
So I can check that out afterwards. But like, it's definitely more relaxed, just makes it a lot more fun. Trying to force players to do banter stuff is not good. Like, I did it at Blast, and I worked with the guys there by picking certain players and talking to them and saying, like, if you're up for it. But otherwise, I just make them shake hands or maybe just talk a little bit to each other. But I think like it's one of those ones where don't force them to be what they're not, because then it comes off awkward. Like, if trash talk happens and it's legit, yeah, awesome.
I think that that's a skill that can be learned, though.
It can be learned, but I don't agree with it being fake.
That's
I'm against the whole fake side, right? Like,
yeah.
I know that Smoothie is going to talk shit, but like, I don't want someone to try and make, I don't know, Cadian, who is the nicest person you will ever meet, try and talk shit.
That's fair.
It's just not. It's like, it doesn't matter if he fakes it. It doesn't matter if you put him through acting classes. It's still going to be bullshit. Like, I don't want that. I want. Why do we like boxing and stuff like MMA and things like that, right? And what they do, because it's natural. It's testosterone. These two guys are gunning for each other to fuck each other up. You know, like that. That's kind of their job. In CSGO, we're banging each other out on the server. What I love more is when we capture the emotions of like where they stand up and then maybe shout across to the other team, or they do a huge clutch and they go wild and things like that. Or when they lose, they hit the desk. That's the shit I want to see more of. Like, let your emotions flow. As long as it's not physically to someone else, then cool, I'm down.
Okay. Awesome. So if guys have no more questions, I'm pretty good. I've asked, oh my God, 3 hours, buddy. You're not hitting the record. It's like Sir Scoots has that, and I don't think Anders might have beat him, but it's close.
I'm about to say Sir Scoots is like he's a talker. He can.
Oh yeah. He's older too, so that
I
has a lot of stories.
I did an interview with him in 2011 when he was working for Evil Genius, and I think it was like the first 25-minute interview I ever did, and that was like me having to hold the microphone and do this shit. I was like,
oh yeah.
Oh my God, like my arm can't handle it anymore.
Yeah. So I really appreciate you being on the show. I hope everyone at home enjoyed the show. It's been a fun one to do. If you have any shout-outs or anything, you're more than welcome to throw them out. I know you're working from home and doing a lot of streaming right now. If you guys want to follow his stream, if you type !guest, his Twitter and stream are there. You can follow them, which you should. You slimy people, go ahead and follow him if you're not. Okay. So go follow him. But if you have any other shout-outs, go ahead.
Hopefully my parents don't kill me for everything I've leaked out information on life. Obviously, huge love to everyone for supporting and just helping me out across all these different times. Hopefully you can see that the honesty and the openness is something I want to keep doing, and I think it's what more people should do in life. I try to inspire anyone or motivate people in fitness, in work. If people, like I always say, it's on my Twitter, if you're struggling with depression and things, you want to drop me a DM. I do check my DMs, my requested DMs. I regularly look through them. Don't expect to answer like instantly, you know, like it is one of those things, but I do try and respond to everyone. And I think that's the benefit that I do that a lot of other talent don't do, is I respond to everything I get. Even the shit, if I believe in it, like I'll just talk around how it goes. But like, yeah, just I'm always overwhelmed with support. I never see myself as having fans. I don't believe the word fans belongs in esports. Maybe for the players, yes, but for us as talent, I think like we're just other gamers. We're all in the same boat. We're just doing what we love and we have a passion for it. And obviously, I'm just incredibly lucky to have the family I have, to have Masha, the amazing girlfriend I have, to go through this last few months of madness and craziness. And yeah, big thanks for you to finally putting up with having me on after we've waited so long for this. We've been trying to organize this for a while.
I'm just so happy I got you on here. So it was wonderful. I'm happy we got to talk, and I hope in the future we get to talk more, because you're one of those people who I think I could talk to all the time, and I would be happy with that. So,
oh yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
So, thank you so much. For everyone out there, this has been the Minds of Media. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. If you're not watching it live, I hope you enjoyed the video. Anyone who follows, subscribes, anything like that, I love you to death. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day.